Well, we are back, huh? We're back at the 9 Club, everybody. Today, we have a very special guest. Mr. Bill Weiss is with us. How are you, dude?
I'm well, dudes. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming and wearing clothes. Appreciate you, bro.
It's by law now.
It's right. You have to wear clothing out in public.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say I have an ankle bracelet, but it's somewhere else.
The reason why, well, how are you doing, first of all? You good?
Yep.
Yeah?
Good, man. Just moving along, going through the same weirdness as everyone else.
It
but,
is weird
you know,
out there.
skateboarding always finds a way to do what it does, so good.
Definitely.
Have you been skating all lately?
A little bit. I went to the barracks the other day. We were working on something for Madness, and I skated both days, and a day after, I felt like I'd been put in a sack and beaten with bats.
You have no idea. You have no idea, bro.
I was like, wow.
Dude, the thing I love about you, though, is that, like, even you might not skate for a while, you go hard.
Yes,
like, you slam, and you get back up, and you fire it up, dude.
It's weird. Some days I can skate, and stuff works, and other days it's like, it looks like I've never had a skateboard in my life.
Trust me.
I can't do a manual on a 2-inch thing.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could do that on a good day.
You can do it. I'm the same way, though. I was telling, on the other episode, me and Kelly played the Battle of the Barracks. Bro, it was like that. It looked like I never skated before in my life. And 20 minutes in, I was fucking in pain.
Yeah,
my whole legs.
It is definitely not like riding a bike at all.
No. Well, because I skate the curbs and do this stuff. So playing a game of skate is fucking
dude. That's high. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
It's a lot.
Catch me on a flip trick nowadays is rare, but it's a tall task.
Yeah.
Would you rather try, and it might be a silly question, would you rather try a flip trick on flat ground or on transition?
Probably flat ground.
Oh, okay.
My vertical leap and conscious to my feet is not really there anymore. So, but I do film a lot of that stuff, and just because it's so bad, I want people to see. You want to see something bad and horribly disgusting? All my flip tricks have the worst flair. Like I was pre the kick your foot out. It was just whatever and land back on the board was the 80s that I'm part of. So when I see it, I'm just like. In my mind, it's like costume.
It's beautiful.
Perfect. Right. Then when I see it, I'm like, my feet are over my head like I'm doing a back scratcher on skis. It's disgusting. Anyways.
I love it. But listen, the reason why I was asking about clothes, because let's talk about that. We have to start off with the nude 540s. What's going on? You're kind of infamous for the nude 540. I mean,
Staple.
Yeah.
It was. It's kind of.
Where did it start? Let's go.
It was like a joke that basically I was at a contest, at NSAM contest. I think it was in '89 in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, this started back in the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. And we were just wasted skating the ramp, partying at the skate park. And it was just about to start raining, and everyone's like, "Oh, you should do a 540." And I was pretty hammered, so I just took my shit off and did one, and it worked first try. And they're like, "Whoa, whatever." And then we kept partying, and no one thought about it again.
Okay.
No one documented it?
No, I don't think anyone even had a camera back then.
Yeah, you had the big ass cameras.
Yeah,
that was very
and those
rare.
were rare,
yeah.
if any.
Yeah,
but. So right after that, I got on Dogtown, and they hit me up, and they were like, "Oh, we're going to give you an ad in Thrasher, so you got a month or something." Okay. And at the time, 540s were more of like a pro thing, and pros kind of made a big deal of it, and they just weren't that big of a deal to me for whatever reason. So I thought it'd be funny just to sort of mock it and do it, and sure enough, I did it, and there was an ad. It was said the bare essentials in people naked, spelling letters, and that was that. That was kind of my first into the thing, even though I don't know. So
for Dogtown,
yeah.
Who shot the sequence? Was it a sequence or a photo?
It was a photo.
Okay.
And it was people were like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But shortly after that, was right when I left Dogtown. I was riding for H Street, but Vert like died overnight. So right as I was about to turn pro, Vert just dies, and like the industry was like whoever was just prepping me, like, oh, this is gonna be your shape and your graphic, or what do you need, was like no phone calls, throwing out like dirty toilet paper, like zero. You're just done.
That is so insane.
And it was not like isolated. It was everybody that was a vert skater was like, and everyone was like, dude, what just happened? And it was super weird. And, I'm sure from Tony Hawk to whoever felt it, because they were on top. And the next thing you know, it's like totally unsellable, streets coming in, but the way it happened was super bizarre. So after that, I was kind of like, that trick alone covered me for a decade, through all the Big Brother or whatever. Like anywhere we'd go, and there would be some beers and a vert ramp, it was kind of like a given that
everybody's waiting.
And it happens so many times on so many continents. Like it's ridiculous. But again, if you can only do one trick, do it naked. Because it definitely.
I definitely was there for a few of those. That's for
Really?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. You saw it live.
I did.
Yeah.
What would go down? Would you just be standing up on the deck, undressing, or would you undress below, walk up the stairs? Did you make it a whole thing, or what was it?
Well, no. I mean that part. I mean. Again,
like a championship fighter coming in for the,
when I think about it from that perspective, it's like, we could be at Slam City Jam when it's at its biggest, and you're sitting there and like Duffy or someone's like, dude, and you're like, nah, and a couple of years later, it starts to sound like a good idea. And, it all kind of happens. And, there's people like, whoa, dude, like what's happening? They have no idea who I am, why I'm standing
but you
next
can't
to
help
naked.
but look. You're like,
and it's like, I've never seen so many people be so entertained. If you fall, totally entertaining.
Sure.
If it works, totally entertaining. The only thing I ever really felt bad about was like the person that's just working to check bands, and I'm like, yo, and they're like, whoa. And whatever. And it's like, yeah.
How many times do you think you've done it naked?
Probably way too many. I'd say at least 20.
At least,
wow.
Yeah. Like you said, all over the world.
It's, one time we were in Amsterdam. I think I was with you guys. I don't know were you on the trip?
Which one?
It's like 95 or 96. Sheffy with the saxophone.
Oh my God, dude! There's been so many Sheffies with their
So we were at that ramp in the park with the mini ramp and near the Van Gogh place.
With graffiti, was there graffiti?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I just remember because I was in England. It was, I think, the first Tom Penny year, and I just went solo. And I remember I was at the train station going to Hook Van Holland or somewhere where you catch the boat.
Right.
And I was by myself. I had like 3 boxes of boards, and I remember Rick was like looking at me, and then he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he's like, "You're going to Holland, right? Or to Amsterdam?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like looking at all you guys. He's like, "Who wants to? Should we take him?" And then everyone's like, and he's like, "Who wants the room with Weiss?" And Costum's like, "I'll take him."
No way. This is our first big trip. Yeah.
So I went with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. And whatever. So when we were at that ramp, I remember I did a nude 5, and this dude came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, come here." And I'm like, "What? No, I'm good." And he's like, "No, come on." I was like, "Dude, I'm in Amsterdam. This is kind of weird." But I was like, "What's up?" And he brought me to this green van, and I was like, "Dude, I'm not getting in your van." He's like, no, it's for you. And he opened it. It was a Heineken van. It's filled with beer. And I was like, dude. And he's like, for you, for that. And I just told him, I was like, dude, it was sick.
Everybody,
hey, there's beers.
everybody grab a beer.
He worked for Heineken, and he hooked it up.
Damn. So you kind of got
good.
sponsored that day for a day,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Couple 12.
Still doing the nude 5/4? When was the last? No. When was that?
2007 for Rob's show, Rob and Big.
Wow.
Damn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
Almost
was
15 years here. Shit.
Yeah.
I know we're due for another
Time
one. What's
flies
going
when
on?
you're wearing clothes. But Rob was like, "Oh, you got to do this," and I'm like, "Dude, I don't know if I can," And then Tremaine was there, and he's like, "Dude, it'd be so sick. We're gonna throw the money out."
Yep,
And I'm
yep.
like, "You guys realize there's 100% chance this isn't gonna work at all."
100% chance.
So then I think it boiled down to them just saying like, "Oh, what do you need to do it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I want a nice robe. I want a 12-pack on ice. I need some headphones." They're like, "Dude." And I remember I just sat in the parking lot and drank some beers and
getting ready for it,
like in the robe.
well, I hadn't skated at
Prepping.
all.
Yeah.
You know, so then I had James Craig on like towel duty in case it didn't work. And I remember I got up there and there's so many people there, dude. I was like, fuck. And I dropped in and I'm not like doing airs into this. I'm doing power kick turns for like, you know, and I remember I did like 16 of them and I looked at James. I'm like, and he's like, "No, don't pop out." And I remember I had like pumped so hard and tried it and it just worked first try. And
Yes.
I just remember looking and just seeing money showering and the entire crowd just like jumped on the ramp. It was crazy, dude. And then, yeah. But it just happened to work. And, you know, that's why these things are here in these brown Mumfords.
That's
Yeah,
what happened.
globes.
Okay.
That was,
Wow.
those were the shoes.
Those are like a
Love
skin
it.
colored type of.
Every time I see them, I just laugh. I'm like, why are these still in the garage?
Oh, so those were the shoes. The last
my
one you
goodness.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you wear socks or?
I definitely had some tube socks on. Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And a Yankees hat, I think.
Okay.
Have you ever done it sober?
Nude?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
There's always a couple cores involved.
Yeah.
Is there
I
a
would
time
imagine
where
so.
you slam and you?
Oh, yeah.
Don't. Yeah.
Dude, there's been some like 4 or 5 real slams to make. Like in Vancouver one year, you name it, whip out, body slam, and you know, like you're bleeding and you're getting masonite burns, and it's like not fun. It's not really funny, especially to me at that point. But you're kind of like whatever,
do
and
this
then
shit.
you know, it finally worked, and yeah, I did drive home one time from Vancouver like on one ass cheek because my pants were like completely adhered to my leg.
I mean, you're getting masonite burns where nobody gets masonite.
Yeah,
burns.
next level.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, thank God I never caught a screw, but
Ooh, dude.
that's enough of that.
So you retired it. We're not going to see it ever again.
I certainly hope not.
Okay.
I think there was a bid of 20 grand or something, maybe, but
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
For you to land it or just try it?
I get
What do
paid for the attempt.
Okay.
Like, I'm not, dude, if that could just not work. It's,
That's
yeah.
pretty
Wait,
But I
someone
think-
told you?
Yeah,
you-
there's
20
a
grand.
possibility.
That's a.
Who?
I would. Yeah,
I was
well,
talking
what's
to
going
the
on
Jenkum
there?
guys, and he asked what it would take, and I said something. I mean, the running joke was 10 in cash, but I think 20 is more
Oh, we can make that
reasonable.
get up there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Start a
Especially
good-
if people get like donating.
Yeah, we'll
and-
start a crowdfundme.
There you
GoFundMe.
go.
Yeah.
What an awkward contribution. And how do I write this off?
Nude 540. What do you want from me?
But anything to get the
My
kids
service.
gifts for Christmas, you know.
Fuck yeah. Let's go.
I love it.
You show your kids that? If you say, hey, this is a.
Oh, they know. There's no
They-
getting around
they-
that.
How old are they?
I have 2 daughters, Lexi and Lila. Lexi just turned 14 and Lila's 11.
Okay.
So they're-
okay. So they're vast. They've
fully-
Googled you, watched
Yeah,
your videos. Nude 540.
They've been
pops
out in
up.
the streets with me, like since they were little. You know, I'd take them filming, and you know, they're like filming with me, or they're skating, or they're throwing rocks at people skating the rail. I'm like, don't do that. Or the cops will show up, and I'll grab their hand. I'll be like, there's some crazy dudes skating in there. But they've definitely familiar with all that, and my friends, and yeah.
I was just about to ask though, are the new 540s on YouTube? Because it's nudity, so I don't know if they would be on there.
I'm sure like there's.
Maybe blurred out stuff.
It has
Well,
to
I
be.
know
Where did these
I
live?
always thought about that. Some guy at Forum once, his intern is like, "Okay, we got this clip. We need you to blur this out,
Blur, right?
frame by frame." And that's the guy's
So
week.
hard.
Oh, wow.
Because you want to do some of the power kick turns too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
you
lot
need
of
to get
power.
those.
Rarely do I just drop in and execute first.
Why the
kick.
power kick turns though? You just can't do the airs like
I
how
don't,
you want.
dude. I don't know if I can even do airs anymore. I think that, and then a 50-50 is perfectly named because you know when you're young, they never don't work. As you get older, perfectly named for the trick.
It's a 50-50 chance you're gonna.
Roll of the dice. Like I've slammed doing them. I'm like, what? But that's what happens when you get old.
No doubt, dude.
Okay.
And you're not doing it as much.
Right. Well, it's
you know what I mean.
It's
So a
like
combination of both.
yeah. When you skate a lot, obviously repetition is key, and things are grooving and flowing. When you don't, it's like whoa.
No doubt.
It's
Right.
frightening.
Yeah. No,
It's super fun, but it will
totally
beat you down.
I go
No
through the
doubt.
same thing. I mean, we're so busy here doing this show, talk about skating. We're always watching skating, doing this, and sometimes the last thing I want to do is go skating, right? And so when I do go skating, especially when we're flipping our boards at the, it's crazy. It's crazy how your body atrophies almost,
Dude.
It's fucking
Yeah,
nuts.
and then you see obviously some of the guys that I grew up on or looked up to are still going hard, and I almost feel like a lot of them have been able to skate the whole time, so that's got to work in your favor,
Definitely.
right? Because it's just like
For sure. I
tuned
agree
up.
with
And
that.
Yeah.
if you like I said, like, dude, skateboarding is frightening at this stage,
Totally. We just mentioned Eric Costin. He's still
dude.
ripping.
And Guy.
Guy.
Yeah,
Straight up.
Ooh.
yeah.
I trip out Tony Hawksell skating vert.
Dude,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
never
Yeah. I mean-
stopped pushing. Period.
Yeah. And
He
he
does-
don't even stretch.
He doesn't even stretch or
Dude,
warm up.
he's
He
like-
just goes right into it.
But again, I think he's one of the most gifted skaters of all time. But
sure.
he was always so down to skate. He had his ramp, or he'd find one. He always I watch his stuff and I'm like, dude, it's insane how
Totally.
good he is. I think he's better than he was, and that doesn't even make sense.
I mean,
It's like
he's-
Chris Miller.
Right.
Mm.
I saw him. I go to the combi thing when they do it purely to watch him skate, and I sit there and I'm like, how has this guy gotten
Oh, he's
better?
still going hard in the
dude,
paint. I love it.
better than I can remember.
That's so rad.
And it's just like, wow, dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
Sometimes,
And obviously depending on how much you skate or the age of someone, it's more just cruising around. But those guys are going straight
no,
up.
really,
Mhm.
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, it inspires me straight up.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
about that shit. I'm like, damn, they're out
Like
there.
Salva, dude, he terrorizes pools,
Right.
dude. And it's like this stuff, it just blows my mind, man. Like he skates so much at his age, and it's like, I think with that, like being around skateboarding, like you said, like definitely it's a love-hate relationship, and it's like for me, I've been immersed in it my whole life, but it was like the guys that raised me that, take time out of their work year to do a vacation with all their friends, and they come out to Cali, they had 14 people in 2 hotel rooms, they hit 3 things a day. That like made me want to skate again.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
it totally inspires me. They've never gotten a free package in their life.
yeah,
They actually love skateboarding.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
Totally.
to me, it's just, I think it's so genuine and so rad. It like helps compass like what it's all about in the first place,
totally.
Totally.
Because it's easy to, if you're, it's
You can get caught up real easy.
Yeah.
industry will
Yeah.
definitely, it's like a fucking pirate ship with no captain. It's rough.
No doubt.
Because you do all the blind stuff now, like team manager. What's your like official? Are you just team manager or brand manager?
do,
How does that work?
Brand manager for Blind and Madness.
Oh, yeah.
Madness I created, but Blind obviously I took on 2003, I believe.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Very different time. Kind of like inheriting a dead brand, it
Yeah.
felt like.
Yeah.
It was really like deep in the like Reaper on everything, just, and very similar to what happened with World. It just, you can't say no every opportunity. It's, and it gets to the point where people just, and every brand has its time, so that happens naturally.
Right.
But, it was in a weird spot, and I knew it was going to take like a long time to correct.
It's an uphill climb.
Yeah, I knew it was going
Right.
to be hard to.
And so, what made you want to take on that battle?
It wasn't so much wanting to take it on; it was that they offered me, and I was like, "Wait!" Like I couldn't believe that they did.
Were you doing anything at the time?
I
There
was.
were-
I was doing. Dwindle had acquired Digital.
Yeah.
Ah.
Right.
Yes.
So-
Right.
When they did that, previous to like doing skateboards company stuff, I was doing Digital with Mike Crum, Rune Glifberg, Donnie, and Dennis Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and it was how do I frame this up right? So I had still been skating for a living through the 90s,
Yeah.
right? And then towards like 97, 98, I was actually skating more and more, and like was into it, but I got to the point where, I was going to the Vans Park in Orange. I'd bring a street board and a vert board. I'd like do 2 hours on each. I'd be like mute grabbing the street pyramid. And I was like, I remember it's like sitting there and I was like, am I fucking practice? What am I doing? And I just remember throwing all my shit in the bowl and these kids are like, hey, your stuff. I was like, that's your stuff. And they're like, what? And I just walked out and I felt so liberated. I was like, dude, I'm fucking done, dude. I suck. Like, done. And I remember a couple days later.
It's a good way to retire.
Yeah. I just felt like I couldn't keep up. I was like, what am I even doing this for? Like,
how old were you at that point?
I was, like 26 or 27.
Damn.
That's pretty young, dude.
But I was like, like with the level of flip tricks and stuff, and I'm like doing I just didn't feel like I was contributing. Now, part of that, it felt liberating because you don't have to live up to someone's idea of what skating is, and a lot of skaters go through that. But at the same rate, I was like, dude, I don't fucking want to have a board with my name on it. Like, let someone else do it. Like, let someone else have a board. Like, I'm, anyways, so.
But at 26, though, you're still young, obviously, but what do you do?
Well,
now?
I have no education. I, left home at like 14 to come out here.
From Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I had
14 years old, you left?
Yeah. I
wow.
took
Would
the
you hop on a
bus.
train?
I took the Greyhound with Tom Boyle, an amazing Canadian and Texas skater, who like changed the face of skateboarding in Toronto when he moved there. Being the fact that whatever we thought was a pro, he was better and he wasn't even sponsored. So he quickly made his name. And so when I had the idea of coming out here, we took the Greyhound. It took 5 days. I had $30. It seemed totally logical at the time.
Toronto to California.
Yeah.
Wow.
5 days. This is a nightmare.
Wow.
Like, yeah, it was rough.
$30?
Yeah. But so we got out here, and Tom had his sponsors, and I had the people that were flowing me, and you know how that goes. You come out and you stay on couches or whatever. But fast forward to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
I had been skating through the 90s. I'd also been partying through the 90s like a Viking, and that's just how it was. Like, it wasn't that foreign, but I was like in rough shape. So I remember I was like, now what do I do? Like, I'm fucked,
Sure.
And I toyed with some ideas, and the video thing I was pretty persistent about. And I remember Mike Crum and Rune Glifberg were like, against their better judgment, they're like, this is actually a good idea. Like, and they lent me $100,000. And it like literally changed the course of my life, because up until that point, all I ever thought about was like, like whatever I was doing, if it was Change or Premiere, some of these smaller brands, after the death of Vert and, the uprise of street skating, I always kind of looked at it as like nothing but a thing to have some of my friends or other people get boards, whatever. But I never thought of it like from a business point of view. It was like, pay me first, whatever happens is great, and that's just how it was. And I also had this threshold of like, I always had a pretty good eye for skaters, and it was like, say it was Lenny Kirk or whoever, Corey Shepard, like I lived at Rob's house, so it's like for sure they're graduating the workshop. Like, there's no way I can keep them, you know what I mean?
Right.
So anyways, so there was a lot of that. And then with the video thing, those guys liked the idea, and at the time it was basically Form 1 ran everything, and I just felt like they were milking skaters so hard for content that it's like, they basically come up with a new category every month. Like, oh, we just did your, Wheels of Fortune, your profile, day in the life, making breakfast with. You're like, dude, like, and they're pumping these things out monthly. So
that's crazy.
It got pretty hectic. Crazy. And it was an amazing thing they did, like I was certainly inspired by it, but I just felt like it was getting ridiculous because, you're giving people all your footage, and it was just whatever. Right. So,
which a lot of it seemed like throwaway, kind of, some of it
yes
did
and no.
seem...
I mean,
over time it did. Over time it started to get a little more throwaway.
Sponsors were just giving their footage to them. It was just a weird thing that was happening in skateboarding, and to its, at the same rate, it was putting certain people on the map hard.
No doubt.
Sure,
definitely,
absolutely.
It was like being constantly in Thrasher, constantly in Transworld, it doesn't hurt, you know?
Right.
No doubt.
So anyways, we wanted to do something, you know, especially due to my zero knowledge of filming, editing, or any of the above. The guys were like, let's do it. And they, you know, they lent me the money, which automatically changed like my perspective on anything, because I was like, all I could think of is like, I have to make the video and I have to pay them back.
It's a lot of fucking
You know?
money, bro.
Yeah.
So basically they like paid my car, paid my rent. You know, I knew a lot of the skaters, so they thought it was like, yeah, let's do it, whatever. So in the first one, it was like Duffy, Neil Mims, Rune, Corey Shepard, I believe.
Okay.
And like the first video for sure is my favorite because it's just so random. Like I didn't even know you're supposed to wipe the lens. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, but it did come together. It came out, and I remember I think it was the guys from Flip. Like they knew I had no idea what I was doing, and I was trying to figure out like, how do you sell this thing, or what do you do? And they're like, dude, here's our sales info,
Wow.
phone numbers, whatever. And I used that. And I remember one weekend I was going to San Francisco to film, and I just sat there and wrote notes and like faxed them out to these people. Drove to SF, came back, and I just heard beeping. I went into the office, which was my guest room with nothing in it but a fax machine, and it was flooded with papers of orders. And I was like,
Wow.
dude, and it was like 150 grand. And I was
Whoa.
like, whoa, dude. So I'm like, now we got to get this thing done. So of course we did, and you know. First few were VHS, and then comes in DVD, and then DVD turns into, oh, I saw your video online and YouTube. So we did what we could. The timing was a bit off, but it was a really fun experience, and it was like cool to like, the whole point was like put a marquee guy with a new name. And a lot of the times those new names could be Stefan or PJ or these,
Dude.
you know, like, you know, and it was rad. And then of course you look back and you see it. It was just
Right.
fun. You know, Chris Cole had a couple parts. Like it was fun doing them.
How many did you do?
I think like 15.
That's it. Huh?
Dude, I want to say this too, because you put me on to Stefan in that video. I watched the video. Stefan was like, this dude is my favorite. And then the next one for me was Gallant's part you did.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts he's ever done.
Yeah. Galea too.
Galea Mamalu.
Dude,
Oh my gosh.
He like, most like everybody that was like, if it was Joey Brzezinski, or we had quite a few regulars, you know, that were in him often. Appleyard, like just dudes were down to like do something different.
Okay, the Appleyard part where he skates to Bill Withers.
Yeah.
No, that's one of the amazing
He starts
parts.
off the line throwing his board down in the hallway, and
That's a good
bro.
one.
So it was like kind of cool because like I knew a lot of these guys, but then there were always new heads, and because like we'd be rolling with just like crazy posses of like, you know, like a vet or a guy that's fully like got his shit going with like a new kid in the car.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it leads to different stuff for them. So we kind of got caught in the crosshairs of like technology, and you know, at a certain point, like no one wants to pay for a video.
Yeah.
So that was that. But pre to that, Dwindle had been interested in acquiring it. So
Wow. After only 15, or how many videos were you into it? Were
8
you,
or 9.
were you doing these bi-monthly?
No, they were like every
Quarterly?
3-4 months at
Okay,
best.
Okay, gotcha.
You know? So they had taken it on, and when they did that, you know, I was able to pay Mike and Room back.
Amazing.
But they were then cut out. It was transferred to Dwindle. I was brought in to do it. And then I think within that same year, the market crashed. So like they had also had Dogtown at a point there and they
Wow.
got rid of them both right away. And I was like, that was quick. But at least they got paid back, so whatever.
There you go.
And then they had asked me, Rob Valerio was the president of Dwindle at the time, and I don't know what he saw me, but he was like always like encouraging me, super like he was like, hey, have you ever thought about, you know, like being an editor for a magazine? I'm like, dude, I don't even know how to read. And he was like, so what about like running Blind? And I'm like, dude, it's me, you know? And he was like, no, dude. He's like, you could do it. And he like really like, I don't know, man. If someone like, I'd never had anyone believe in me, and he like opened a whole new life for me, you know,
Amazing.
taking a big gamble, but I guess he saw something different. And, you know, so I started doing that, and, you know, that was 18 years ago.
That is insane. By the way, good job on the digital stuff, though. Because like Kelly said, like a lot of cool stuff came from that. A lot of cool
I mean, it was like,
up-and-comers
you
and
know,
stuff.
there's always like good skate guts to it, but there's a lot of funny shit, and it was just kind of captured for what it was, you know?
Totally.
The credits were always pretty entertaining. But, you know, it was fun because it was like, just like, you know, it was just like a posse of people, and you bring new people in, and different people skating with people they don't usually skate with, and it was just fun, you know?
And it's cool, too, because 401 had their shtick, so to speak, and then here you come along, kind of this different vibe.
Yeah.
With still skating in it, but, you know, it was cool. And then you had the regulars, like you said, like Joey Brzezinski and stuff like that.
For sure.
Which is
Gallant
awesome.
or Appleyard.
Yeah.
PJ was always tossing bones our way. Like, it was, I think it was something different for those guys at a different time, and they felt connected to it. And it was, you know, it was just fun to do.
I think they liked going out skating with you. I think you got them out, and they were stoked.
Well, yeah. I mean, we always, it was just like more ruckusy, you know, like it was just random, like, especially with me filming. It's like, did you get that? It's like, yeah, I think, you know.
Would you edit everything too? Would you?
No.
No.
I would sit and direct, but Dennis Martin.
Yeah.
He was like same thing. He was a vert skater, you know, he was in the Life video. Ripper from Texas. He was out. I'd see him around Orange County when he was when Tony's ramp was there. And he would just pop his head and he'd be like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I'd be like, "We're trying to make this video." And he's like, "Can I help?" I was like, and I remember I bought the first iMac and I was like, "Do you know how to use this?" And he was like, "What?" And he just plugged it in, and he would just sit there all day and read all the manuals, and it's just like an idiot savant. Like, no offense, Dennis, but he like fucking took to that shit, like editing, filming, learning all the programs. Like, dude, he turned into one of the better filmer editors. Like, you know, he just put in the time.
Just DIY'd it.
He had it like that. And, you know, to see the stuff he did with like Crew and Supra, I was like, whoa, dude, like it blew my mind, you know, and he's very creative and to this day has so many cool things going. But yeah, so it just kind of, everything happened like that.
I love that. Organically. And would you guys like for somebody's part, would you choose the music, or would the skater be like, "Hey, I want to use this song," or?
It depends. Like, you know, like with Dennis, you know, I remember when he, I think, was off to do Supra. I remember he was like, "Dude, like I got to do this." And I'm like, "Dude, I totally get it." And I remember calling him, was like, "Yo, could you meet me at the office and like teach me how to edit?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he kind of gave me a crash course, you know. But it was rough without him, you know.
I bet. Yeah.
But yeah, it depends on the guy. Like a lot of the times, we had a place near the beach, and they'd just come in and, you know, pick their music, and then obviously back then, running the gauntlet with music was pretty loose.
Music rights, yeah.
Definitely.
Because you could kind of just run whatever and.
Sort of. I one time Joey Brzezinski, I think he had a part in maybe the 10th video. I think it was called Sane, but I could be wrong. But anyway, so he had a song he really liked. I think it was Gem, maybe.
Gem.
It really like went with his part well too.
I remember it was a
good.
good
Like he
part.
can't. Like whenever I hear that song, it's like Joey's part.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
that song.
It's catchy.
It's
So-
stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Like,
So like case in point, you know, I'm sitting there and I get a call from this like law firm, and they're like, "Yeah, we represent this artist," and I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh," and you know, I guess what had happened was a kid went to a Gem concert with a copy of the video and asked the artist to sign it, and she was like, "I don't understand." He's like, "Oh, I love your song. It was in this part," and she was like, "What?" And
okay.
so that led to them, you know, contacting us. And I remember I was on the phone with the lawyer, and I'm like looking at Dennis, like, "Dude, they want to fucking take us to court." And I was talking to the guy. I was like, "Excuse me, sir, can you hang on a minute?" And I like put him on hold, and I was sitting there, and I was like,
The whole-
and I was like, "This sucks, dude." So I got back on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, man, sorry for that. I just had to let our music supervisor go." And the guy was like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm like they obviously didn't do their due diligence, and you know, now we're in this situation. He's like, I don't want to put anyone out like that. And I was like, I already did it, man. Like, you know, it's unforgivable. And he was like, look, we'll just say stop signing or stop selling the video. You know, sign a thing that declares that and whatever, and that was it. And,
Wow.
So I fired an invisible.
Invisible.
intern.
To make that up
He
on
said he
the,
put him on hold.
Yeah.
I mean, to make that shit up on the spot is fucking.
That's great.
Better than going to court for music,
great.
right?
Yeah,
but
right.
you know, just I mean, dude, so many videos, like, you know, and with anything, right? It's like you see that now with social media or whatever those little in and out avenues are. Your video's been taken down or this, that, whatever. You know?
Yeah, and it's ever changing too because like we'll post some like 9 Club stuff sometimes with the song, and I'll get like an email saying like, "Oh, your video's been removed,"
Right.
to whatever.
Yeah,
and
when
then
you're a business, you can't put
right,
post it
but
with
then I get a random email one time, and it'll be like, "Oh, your video got re-put back. It got approved or something."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And
over
so, like,
time, yeah.
Well,
yeah, and so
yeah.
it's like what?
I always thought that like the marriage there would have been, you figure out a way where, especially in the iTunes era, where if the video is loaded on iTunes, you can watch the video and or buy a song from it directly.
Exactly.
So it's like scratching both people's back, right?
Right.
Because the video, for a lot of skaters, I'm sure to this day, you get turned on by music in a video part like you wouldn't in another way.
For
and you have these
sure.
very eclectic catalogs because skaters pretty diverse when it comes to music
Totally,
and
definitely.
creativity.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it just never shaped out that way because you'd think it'd be a win-win, right?
That's what I would
think.
think.
If you're like,
Sure.
here's the exchange is we use your part, we promote this video, kid loves the song, buys it on the spot,
Right.
And I always
you
wondered
might
about-
gain a new fan or someone that
Well,
leans
skaters love collecting those
Of course.
songs throughout their favorite parts. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it makes
definitely.
total sense.
I mean, I would go as far as like back in the day to the warehouse or the dang buy the CD.
Warehouse.
Yeah, of course.
And then like, and I'd always wonder in my head, I'm like, this Plan B video came out or whatever. I'm like, I wonder if the record company sees this like huge boost in sales,
I wonder that too back then.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
sure.
But they don't know where it's coming from, probably.
no.
Well, yeah, it's weird because I'm old, so I've seen a lot of skate videos, but it's like I identify people's songs. Like I said, anytime I hear that song, I think of that guy's part. I can almost think of the tricks or like,
100%.
and I'm just like, that's crazy how it stores like that.
Yep.
And it gives you that like hair on the arms feel where you're like, it brings that level of nostalgia and it's interesting.
Just like that with music. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I used to actually like record the song sometimes if I couldn't get the song,
right.
I would record it from the skate video, put it in my Walkman, and listen to the song with the skating noises in it
It's tight.
because I love the song.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
for
many
sure.
times.
I mean, people's parts in the songs, it goes a long way. It's like motivational.
Really.
Yeah, it gives you.
It's a
carries
hard thing to find that right song too.
Oh, it's
But
next to
that's-
impossible
Yeah.
in reality because
Yeah.
when you put something out, half the people like it and half the people hate it. So it's a
Yeah.
hard thing. But a couple skate directors or producers have definitely hit it right.
For sure.
I agree.
Not me. I think I used Who Let the Dogs Out as like the opener or I don't know.
That's
The
amazing.
Go-Go's for Chris Cole. Like there's some.
Hey, listen, the
Go-Go's
Go-Go's have some good shit.
I love
They
the
got
Go.
some
Don't
good
get me
shit.
wrong,
Yeah.
but
What was their main hit?
They've had
The
quite a
Go-Go's?
few.
They
They've
had a
quite a
bunch.
few.
They had one though.
definitely, if I can't answer this correctly, I'm going to be ashamed of myself. But continue. Go-Go's. What am I? I'm having a brain
I
freak.
know.
I
We
just
got-
watched
no,
the
there was
Satan
one.
documentary on that.
Too many, dude.
We
Yeah, we got the beat.
Yeah.
We got the beat. No, there's another one too.
That's what I'm saying. They've had so many. good ones.
Rome? Is that the
Rome?
Go-Go's? Rome, if you want to. Am I blowing
Rome,
it?
if you want to. There was one that
They
was like
might-
their shit.
I'm trying to
They
think.
have-
I know,
We
it's- I
got
know
the
what song
beat.
you're talking about, but I'm not sure if
I just watched the sickest
Head Over
documentary
Heels?
on them.
Was
Head Over
it?
Heels.
Head over here.
That's a slower
there was
one.
Did you watch? No, they
Vacation?
They just did an amazing documentary on them.
I watched the.
I'm sure it's worth a watch.
Dude, they were like toured with the punkers.
Oh my
like,
God.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know?
They were like borderline. And
Yeah,
yeah, for
but
sure.
they were girls, so
Yeah.
they carved a path like nobody else.
For
They
sure.
did a behind the music.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Yeah.
So good. We got the beat, huh?
Oh yeah.
No,
I'll- that was
There's-
before my time, kind of. I mean, I was a little young.
They got some jams.
So you put who skated at the Go-Go's? Do we know?
Chris Cole.
Ah, Chris Cole.
Who skated? Who let the dogs out?
It was the opener.
Oh, okay.
so good, dude.
I remember I was at Tampa Am one year. We had just put one of the digitals out, and some like filled room of all the AMs, like they had a VCR and they popped it in. And I remember one of the guys going, "Who fucking picks the music for these fucking games? The worst."
Our lips
Right
are
here,
sealed.
dude.
Yeah.
Our lips,
Our
are,
lips
sealed.
are sealed.
There you go.
There it
Yeah.
is.
That's the one I always think about when I think about the Go-Go's.
But yeah, no, there's been some dudes that really like music scores for videos, just like flawless. You know?
Yeah.
It makes or breaks the part.
Yeah.
Dude,
For
people
sure.
would. I remember
Oh, yeah.
people would hate on Ty Evans back in the day for putting that techno type of music in, but I always liked it.
I mean, if you watch like Genesis and stuff, it was perfect for like how that video was, and
Yeah.
you know,
Totally.
or you look at
That
some of the
timing.
early America videos,
Right.
Girl and Chocolate videos, fucking Plan B videos had pretty
For
cool
sure.
soundtracks.
No
Yeah.
doubt. Even H3 videos.
Yeah.
I mean, life
MT
video.
and
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it carries, man. We definitely.
What era was it when actually music rights started to change and you couldn't really
YouTube.
get away? Was it YouTube?
Seemed like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
just right around that time. Because I mean, if you look at
Well, remember the DVDs? I feel like it was the DVD era. I don't know. YouTube was around. Remember, like the girl, the soundtrack
Well,
or girl video would come out, and like the DVD had to be different songs.
Well,
Cause
when they sold it in like a
Well,
Best
that-
They sold
Buy.
it in Best
Oh.
Buy and stuff.
that,
yeah.
or when Napster and stuff like that was probably linking
Yeah.
stuff, because that's when they first started noticing.
They were
like,
losing a lot of money right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
for sure.
just off Duran alone.
Yeah.
Right.
dude, though, I remember seeing those edits, and they were so bad of like a different song to like someone's part. You know what I mean?
Because they wouldn't re-edit it.
Yeah.
They would just put the music over it.
Right. I don't
And
think
it
yeah.
didn't
Garbage.
blend or nothing.
So garbage.
I was like, oh, like seeing Gino's part. I love Gino. He's one of my favorite skaters, but he put some other random. I don't know, maybe it was Prince or something, but it just wasn't the original song.
Yeah.
Prince is awesome, but I was like, just put the original
It didn't
song.
work.
Oh, yeah.
you know.
You know what? One of the best songs I think ever.
Pay for the
or
music.
I think a 3-song part was when Carol goes to the 3-6 Mafia. I don't know if that was
good.
fully flared or whatever.
Yep,
I think it
yep.
was.
But the way they like mix that through, I was
like
like,
so good.
that was
Carol
like,
always was really methodical with his
He-
music.
he always had.
and always like
Yeah.
knew what he wanted to use. Hands
that
down.
shit,
He
and it
wouldn't-
was
he
like,
wouldn't let nobody pick his shit.
yeah, that was he was always had those parts. Where
Did
he
it go
was
from
like-
Beastie Boys to 3-6? What was
It was
it?
like right. Was it the end of his part, or did he go one more?
What did
song?
he,
I think it was
he
the
had some
end of his
crazy
part.
rock star. He had like some crazy like was it Guns N' Roses or something? I think it was Guns N' Roses started the part from Fully Flared, and then it ended with 3-6 Mafia. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, I mean, I would. believe
Oh,
Kelly
you know what I'm
straight
thinking
up.
of? I am totally on a different. I'm thinking of the Plan B
Yeah,
video.
you're thinking Plan B video.
when it went
but
from
that was fucking amazing with
Dude,
Beastie Boys.
Beastie
Yeah.
Boys.
no, it went from
to-
Beastie Boys to
Hieroglyphics or
Hieroglyphic
something.
Dell.
Dell.
Was it?
to skip do bop this the whatever.
Yes, it was hieroglyphics.
Oh.
but
Yeah.
Was it casual? Fuck, I don't know. Whatever the case.
I think it was so good though.
I mean, he's had
that-
a laundry list of great tunes in his parts,
Yes.
for
without
real,
question.
for real.
Definitely. I'd
Like
say every part was
trend-setting.
really good
Yeah.
music, no matter what.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Since you were doing the digital stuff like quarterly, let's say, like every 3 or 4 months, would you like trying to get stuff out quick, or would you really take your time and like try to make like the best video that you can make?
I mean, like every video is a little different, but you always kind of had like an ace, someone that was like really like gonna sort of solidify the whole point of making it, and then like I said, we'd always try and couple that with like a new and upcoming AM or someone that we felt was
Sure.
on the level. But we definitely had some questionable parts, like where you just like like you're trying to make it happen, dude's not really like coming through, and
Right.
you're just like, oh god, and
You
but
put
it
out what
happens.
you put out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it was more rare, but there was definitely a couple where I was like,
It is what it
Yikes.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
you know,
I want to say this real quick. Carol skated the Judas Priest "Riding on the Wind."
all right.
It was his first
Okay.
song, and then 3-6 Mafia was
So 2 songs.
2 songs.
Right,
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in Fully Flared.
fully flared.
That's
Yeah.
the
such
one-
a dope mix right there.
I know, right?
Seriously,
But even to
only
go from
Carol.
like Beastie Boys to like hieroglyphics,
Yeah, at
it's
that
like,
time.
God, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Mhm.
Hey, let's. Can we just really quick talk about the coming here to California at 14?
Yep.
Let's rewind a little bit because that's fucking fascinating. Like, what are you doing at 14?
Well-
like, you're already coming out here to like live
Well,
the dream.
Not. It was kind of like back 88, 89. I had started skating in some of the NSA AM contests. That was kind of the
Gotcha.
only way any of this worked back then. And back in the day, you know, if you're from the East Coast, the middle, or the West, so New York to Florida, Chicago to Houston, Seattle to San Diego was kind of your division. And if you do well in that, you move to the qualifier regional finals.
Gotcha.
So the goal was always to go to the finals. And Tom Boyle had gone in 1998 to the AM finals in Tempe, Arizona, I believe it was. And back then, you know, you're just hanging on words, living like, dude, what was it like? You know, and I remember he came back, and he was such an amazing skateboarder, like, let alone one of the coolest dudes ever.
Were you guys around the same age, or was he
He's
older?
3 years older.
Okay.
So, you know, we knew, like, it was a given, like, he was on his way. And he came back, and I was like, dude, how was it? And I think he got fourth. He's like, dude, I quit. And I was like, what? He's like, dude, there's this kid, Danny Way. He's like this tall. He can go higher than Hosoi, and he has more tricks than Hawk. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm
Wow.
like, where is he? He's like, he's in San Diego. I'm like, let's go there. You know? And so, you know, obviously, like, you know, back then, like, it was McGill's or whatever was going on. That was kind of like going to SF in 93 or 94. You go to Embarcadero, you're going to see it for what it is, right?
Sure.
Like, you're right in the lion's den of street skating. And or back then, you go to McGill's, you know, you got Alf, you got Mike McGill, you got Danny Way, you got, like, all the Peter Hewitt, you know, Jordan Richter, all, you know, it's just like the mainstay. So, you know, I had just, I was riding for Circle A at that point, and yeah, it was kind of one of those things where, you know, it was a natural evolution, especially being from Toronto or in Canada, where it's like, if you wanted to make a name, or it wasn't, I can't really say that was the purpose. It was like you wanted to be where the session was.
Right.
Because back then, you know, back to like video cameras, like there's not much footage from those times because you would just go and skate all day, and everyone pushed it all day for nothing. It was just about the session.
Sure.
So, of course, in those surroundings, you know, you come out, you're skating with Alf or Peter Hewitt or whoever, you know, Danny Way, like you're going, you know, and that's just same how the street sessions were. And there were these huge, I saw the same thing when I lived with Deerdick in Pacific Beach. You know, his house was the go-to spot, but on any given day, it's Kareem, Penny, Muska, Rob, Jamie Thomas, Kalis, Lenny Kirk,
Wow.
Kelly Bird, you know,
Right.
John Drake, Bokma, like, so, you know, here I am, and I go out with these dudes all day, and I'm just like, no one's filming, like, and the gnarly shit would happen all the time, you know, and it would be go back to the house, party on repeat every day, you know. So sorry to get off track there,
No.
but, you know, it was just like, back then you want to like skate, and, you know, Toronto's cold, you come to California, weather's good, the magazines are here, a lot of the companies are here, and it starts moving the needle, like if you're doing your thing. So, you know, I think up until that point, maybe Rick Howard was the only other Canadian I can think of outside of, say, Kevin Harris that I saw like making his way here. You know, he was from Vancouver.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Was he on H Street at the time, or was it?
I think he was on Blockhead.
Blockhead.
I'm sorry, Blockhead.
But he
Blockhead,
like
yeah.
stood out right away.
Right.
Like I was like, wow, you know, he was such a good skater, and at street he just stuck out, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, next was maybe Tom Boyle or Sluggo, and then, you know, I came out, and then Jason Corbett, Justin Bokma, Thomas Morgan. There was just, you know,
Yeah.
Jesse Sorensen, like that just it started happening, you know, and of course like Moses, Macnow, like, so once you infiltrate, you know, you set up home bases, and that was, you know, I guess if you look at these different things as you see now, there's a massive flow of Japanese skaters. Before that, it might have been the Brazilians. Before that, it was some of the European skaters.
Yeah.
Before that, it was maybe the Canadians. Like, it seems to happen like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, interesting.
But everyone
Yeah,
wants-
totally.
Everyone wants to be here if they like it or not, you know,
Right.
because it's kind of the mecca, and it's like, where else is it 70 degrees every day with no clouds?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's true.
Or where, you know, you skate with, you show up, like I said, you go to, if you went up to Frisco and back in the day, man, it's like you're definitely going to see some good skateboarding.
Fuck
doubt.
yes.
Or if you knew where to be in LA or
Yeah, LA is a little tougher, but the spots were definitely
Yeah,
there, you know.
For sure.
Back in the day, it was more of like San Diego was kind of the hot spot, right?
It was a different thing. It was like if you look at San Diego back then, a lot of American cities, like on the weekends, were ghost towns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'd be in downtown SD, you could just go wherever, skate anything.
Downtown
and now
LA
it's like you
as
don't
well.
last 2 seconds,
Right.
you know?
Security.
But I think that coupled with the fact that you did have, you know, Deerdick posting up there, Jamie Thomas, Muska, all these different heads going to Pacific Beach, you know, Duffy, and all of a sudden, like, you know, between like, you know, Grant or Skin or Swift, like they're just, dude, those guys are down to shoot. Like
Yeah.
there's sessions left and right, you know?
Interesting. So I think back then, maybe it was a little easier to break into the industry. I mean, coming from Canada as well, sometimes you see that it's a little more of a struggle with Canadians. They have to go through
Yeah.
distributor flow. They have to go through all this kind of more hoops.
Yeah, I
little
think
bit?
I was lucky in the sense that I was like dealing with the people directly. It was like a pro skater that was like, hey, you know, you should come out or do this. Like in '89, Bob Schmelzer, who did Circle A, famous freestyler from up north, also the stunt double for Marty McFly in
Oh shit!
What?
Back to the Future.
Wow.
Which was the movie
So
that like
rad.
happened to be right when I started. and
That's I mean,
Power of Love.
God, I think
Solid.
Yes.
I had one of those boards.
Huey Lewis and India.
Yeah, dude. Piano necktie.
Yes, it's so good, dude.
But
that
you know,
shit.
so he called me up. He's like, "Oh, do you want to go to Europe?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You, Justin Gerard, Joe Lopes,
Damn.
rest in peace, and who else? JJ Rogers, maybe." So, anyways, I'm
Just those
off to
names
Europe
are
for
so
like
rad.
2 months.
How old are you?
Young? I don't
15,
something
six,
like
some-
14
six-
or 15.
You were the youngest of the bunch.
Yeah,
then.
and you know, so we're there doing this tour.
Yeah.
Well, many of your skaters are there for like the Munster contest and stuff that was happening, and we crossed paths with some of the people that were out there. But I learned that at one of the demos in the Swiss Alps, that a young Shanny was holding a balloon watching me because I was the young guy with like his chocolate in the other hand. It's like
He was
can fly
Wow.
or something, and
Shanny was holding a balloon
Yeah,
and a chocolate.
That's
Yeah.
the most shady thing to do.
yeah, for real.
but he said he was there, and I'm like, that's so crazy. And then, of
Wow.
course, like Shanny, like comes to the States and turns out to be maybe one of the best all-terrain skaters of all time.
Really?
Fucking
Yeah.
talented.
Dude,
Hell yeah.
so
facts.
good. You know,
really talented.
and then you know you're talking a little more north, like Encinitas posses and where all those guys were, and you know, of course, like, dude, it's California, right? It's like,
Yeah.
there's groups
I want
everywhere.
to. I know we can get in more about you coming out here, but I want to hear stories about PB back in the day with like Kareem and all the Muska back then. Like, what was that? I know you said it was like partying and stuff, but like, I want to hear stories
I
about
mean,
that
those
because that
guys-
is an epic group of influential skateboarders to everyone.
I think like all of those guys, you know, like Muska came out here on a mission. Like I remember the first time I saw him, it was like he like white wife beater, like kind of like sweater beanie, cargo pants, and you just heard about some of the rails and stuff he did, and I was like, what? Like, and we kind of met him and clicked right away, and you know, first showing, you're like, dude, you're like, whoa, man, like everyone gets checked because you're like, he just does his shit right away. You know, he rarely saw people skating over 10s, but you know, whatever was in front of him, his first try, on to the next thing. You know?
Wow.
Crazy.
Or you have like Penny, who's like, you know, the running joke, at least for me, a lot of the time was we'd go skate all day, and I'd come back and I'd be like, did he fall today? Did anyone see him fall today? And a lot of the times I'd have to say no. And
That's
and it was like, for me at least, watching him, he didn't even. I don't know how his mind works, but he did not. He was so humble. Like, he did not think about what he just threw at everyone. You know, it would
Yeah.
just happen, and then he'd be like, "Oh, do you have a smoke or something?" He just did the gnarliest trick I've ever seen in my life. You know, and you know, there is a bit of documentation. You know, obviously there's that like session at the chain to the bank, which you know, we're driving over there. He's, I don't think, ever been there. You know, I'm like sitting, I have like giant denim shorts on, dude. It's like wild. And these guys are all smoking in the car, and I'm like fucking baked from being in the car with them. We get there, and I tried to like ollie into it and slam so hard, and I'm just sitting there high. And then like Tom just starts looking at the thing, and you know, he just everyone just stopped. You're just like, dude, what's he doing?
You have to watch this.
It wasn't like he was like necessarily like trying. He just would come back and do something else and do something else, to the level that it got where just like, dude, really? Like, and he doesn't even care. He's already off. Like when he finished his last trick, like he doesn't let me see that. No, like high five, you know, it's just like whatever. And I think in that same day or weekend, we were at UCSD with the big kinked wall where people do tricks over a gap out to the flat part.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And that thing's wild at best. It's big.
It's big.
And I remember Penny was like skating by, and he like looked at it, and I'm like, you should frontside flip that. And he's like, huh? And I was like, you should frontside flip it. And he's like, nah. I was like, I'll buy you a 6-pack. He's already walking back. Just done.
Frontside flip.
First try.
It's like riding away, and then he's like, you owe me a 6-pack. And I was like, dude, that was, at that time, that was like so raw. And, you know, that would only, you get back to the house, everyone's talking about what Tom did, and then that's fueling like everyone else. And, you know, Kareem's there. Like, Kareem will come down for the weekend, and he just sits on the couch sleeping like that. Like, just skates all day, does the gnarliest stuff you've ever seen, so flawless. Just chills on the couch, back to it the next day. Or Kale is like,
yeah,
wow, all those dudes, you know. And then same thing with like John Drake. Like the skateboarding he was doing at that time was almost misplaced. He was so good and proper, you know. And Deerdick was pushing it in his way, and like, you know, and then you throw Duffy in there, and you know, Clyde, and you know, it was wild, man. And then the nights were wild as well, you know. But again, it circled back all the time to just these amazing, like, it's so cool that, you know, we had dudes like Swift and Skin, and you know, that were always around and just down to shoot, you
documenting
know?
Everything.
Yeah, it was a very fruitful time in the streets.
I mean,
and it was so like pioneerish, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I mean, you just named all my childhood heroes in like one sentence.
Imagine them as
crazy.
Imagine them as kids hanging out in a room together.
Oh my God.
Like just like, oh yeah, whatever.
And you just watch
let's go
Penny
skate.
like annihilate this chain to bank. You know, you're like, what is going on?
And then, you know, PB, it kept getting, you know, there was Pacific Drive there, which was landmark stores in skateboarding, but like every day you go down to the shop, it's like all the mentions: Sal Barbier, Donger, Jason Carney, you know, Jeremy DeGlopper, all the Treefort guys.
yeah.
Like, it was just crazy, you know. So there were sessions just running rampant. Sal's down there, you know.
Wasn't Sheffy? He was. I heard
Sheffy, yeah.
Someone, because I would go down there a
He
bunch,
was-
and I heard before
for a
they were
while.
like, yeah, I think or like Sheffy would like live in the closet or something.
Well, at Pacific Drive, there is this closet. I know for sure I spent a good amount of time in there, because it was like I'd be so fucking hungover, and we'd go down there, and those guys are all going to go terrorize the streets, and I'm like, yo, I'll be in there sleeping. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people took advantage of that cozy little spot to pass out.
Dude, shout out to fucking Pacific Drive.
Yeah,
That's such a
dude,
good shop.
I was
Yeah.
just down there, and it's just like, dude, it's such a cool, fucking memorable to this day. Like, just holding it down, you know.
Definitely.
Same location?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it's right on the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's insane.
It's a
location.
perfect location,
Yeah,
dude.
dude.
It's such a cool.
And you know,
thing.
Jim and those dudes and Sam, like, dude, man, they did so much for skating in that zone. They still do to this day. But
Still do.
at that era, man, like any given, you know, sometimes there's just that shop, and you
Right.
go down there, you're like, whoa, dude. Like, I saw it on people's faces, you know, walking in, they're like, it'd be like going to the Star Wars store and all the people are there.
yeah.
You know?
I think kind of the same thing applies up here, like Rip City.
Sure.
It's like
Yes.
the
Of course, the staple stores, like,
right? You're kind of like in awe.
For me.
like,
Valsurf for me.
Valsurf. Yeah.
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 And it's like these shops, you know, like outside of everything else, they are like so instrumental in like the heartbeat of skate communities, and they deal with so much shit, and they keep going and going, and it's like, you know, like a real skate shop, there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? They deal with a lot, they tolerate a lot, they put you in your place. You know, you go in there, it's like this crazy wealth of just like, you
Knowledge
know,
and
you learn so much, and you see like, dude, it's like skate shops like are so sick like that, man.
Yeah. It's a shame to kind of see it go through these waves of like good, then you hear it's like shit, and like even like going out of business and stuff.
Definitely.
It's tough. I mean,
It's tough.
I have nothing but respect for shops like that have, you know, grind through it and deal with all the ups and downs, and you know, serve their community in such an awesome way, and just like they're like little beacons. You know, it's like you go into a good skate shop and it feels like home, and you're like, "Fuck, this is rad."
Man, especially on tours and stuff too, because those skate shops were your like
straight up
your home away from home almost.
They
It's
know,
like
yeah.
you need stuff, you go to the skate
They
shop.
take you in, they show you what's up, you know, and
beautiful.
it's like, it's just such a cool thing, because anywhere you go in the world, man, you go into the shop and it's like they got you covered, and
they'll tell you where spots are,
For
or
sure.
the dopest food to places, or I mean
it's just-
anything.
It's super cool too to see how different they all are and what their like spots all about.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But all motivated by the same thing, skateboarding.
Straight
You
up.
know?
Yeah.
Truly, like those type of shop owners love it on a level like it's unheard of.
Definitely.
You have to, if you're a shop owner, you know what I mean? You almost
Straight
have
up.
to
I
like
think
be
they have-
above and beyond.
I think they also have a great sense of pride, as they should, because they, you know, like without a skate shop, like think how many people would be so lost. Like, you know what I mean?
For
It
sure.
took me a long time to find one when I first started. Like I was like, I didn't know other people skateboarded.
What was
really.
your shop that you went to
It
up
was
there?
called Hogtown. It was in Toronto, and I remember like going in there. It's like super hardcore, like early '80s, and just walking in, and I had probably like nut hugger Quicksilver shorts on, and this place is all like gnarly. And
How old were you?
13, maybe.
13?
And they're just like breaking my balls or whatever, but then they like took me in. You know what I mean? And I like to this day can like remember like the smell and the look, and you know, just like tripping out. Like they're like, get the fuck out of here, buy something, you idiot. You know, but they let me hang out, and you know, and through that I met the guys that helped shape my way. You know,
I love it.
So rad.
I love it. Yeah, skate shops, man. I've seen so many come and go just around here.
Definitely.
It's a shame.
There was two in the valley that I was definitely
I mean,
close
it's a
with.
tough racket for sure.
It
It really
is.
is. They probably had 2-year stints. There was one called Rail Slide and one called Blue Alliance. And like, you know, they tried their best, but at the end of the day, it's like
The landscape
it takes a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it's ever changing, the landscape.
Yeah.
It's
But
completely...
then you look at some of these shops that have been around for 30, 40 years, amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever grow up or like working at a skate shop at all?
I did.
Helped out. but not
I
like-
worked at a few of them. That was actually the only job I had before I skated. That was
think I
one of
might
the
have
coolest
manned the
things.
sticker
Amazing.
counter like on a business Saturday.
That'll be $1.
But
Yeah.
dude, I
Mind
would,
you, those
grab
things
that
are
for
worth
you.
$3,000
Yeah,
now.
I know.
dude,
Those OG stickers, bro.
Yo.
Whoever has an old box of stickers, like
Send them
take
here.
those things
Yeah.
out.
Send them over.
I have some old ones. I got I kind of find it, but I have the old Donnie Barley toy machine sticker where he's smoking.
Smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those. But yeah, dude, that was like such a good time as a kid, just going in there.
I mean, it's like hard to describe to someone that doesn't skate, but when you first go into your first real skate shop, you're just tripping, dude. Like you're like,
sure.
dude, like they have everything, and
Yeah.
you know.
I used
where
to
am
bug
I?
out on the stickers and just be like,
Yeah, me too.
"Damn,
Yeah,
those are sick."
stickers, the skate videos. You would just look at them like, well, what are these videos?
Sure.
Like, and then you look at the boards, and then when later on, I probably wasn't around. Like skate shoes weren't. Do they sell skate shoes at shops back then?
Not so much.
No, I just remember like when it came around, I was like, holy shit, this is
Yeah,
insane.
no. I mean, you
Like
go-
Airwalks weren't even sold at skate shops. Where
Right.
at least in my area, it would be sold at like fucking Mervin's or some shit.
Yeah, but
Where
like the smell of boards back then and shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're
for sure.
So
glue or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
ink.
what's that?
The ink.
And the ink.
Yeah.
Ink, the
Silk screen.
Silk screen. Yeah, yeah. Because even in Rip City, I mean, you go in and it's this like dark, dingy, with just boards everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like this history.
For sure.
It's that's
And you-
what, I mean, that's what I love about
Wow.
going to shops in different places. Like you walk into their history and you're
Yeah.
just like, whoa, this is sick, you know?
Yeah.
Got a skate video playing too.
Yeah.
It's a little time capsule.
Yeah, dude.
So you mentioned before about doing grabs over the pyramid and throwing your shit, quitting right there on the spot.
Yeah.
And then Rob Valerio giving you a chance
Yep.
at Dwindle,
Yep.
excuse me. And getting a hold of Blind, trying to get,
Yep.
a work in progress, rebuilding. Phenomenal job, by the way. The team
Yeah.
nowadays is fucking crazy.
Stacked.
Company's looking fucking great.
Thanks.
You've really
Lot of
done
talent,
a
for
fucking
sure.
great job over there.
Only took 18 years.
I was gonna say, how was that battle 18 years ago, trying to rebuild this company
I
and the
think-
struggles and all that stuff?
Well, one thing you learn is people, if it was video days, that's very close to people's hearts that grew up on that, and they don't see anything but that. And it's understandable, right? That's the cherished time for them. That was the video that set everything in motion for them and changed their lives or changed the shape of skateboarding at that time. But, when people, you got to realize that was like only 2 years that group was together.
Yep.
And then they were all gone.
Very short.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you enter into shortly around when you probably got on, right? When you had,
Short stint.
yeah. And then you guys were in and out of there pretty quick. And then you bring in the next trilogy kind of crews, which is, Krieger, James, Robbie McKinley.
Yep.
So it goes, there's kind of quick cycles,
Yeah.
right? Compared to, say, if you're looking at, like, say, a workshop or a chocolate or girl legacy, right?
Right.
Sure.
But they touched people in a pretty significant way because
Totally.
people swear by the era that mattered to them.
Totally.
So, looking at that, one thing I always thought, at that time, Blind had not put a video out, and to me, Blind was synonymous with good footage. So one of the things I wanted to do was kind of get a crew together, start working on a video. The other was like walk away from, the character being so overblown, kind of world industry style with the Reaper on everything. And it just gets a little much. It gets, it happens. It's just
They get stuck.
Inspiration
with
is at a minimal.
Yeah.
right? And, so you do stuff and you'd expect like it moves the needle, but a lot of time it doesn't. And some of the more significant stuff that I can remember was like, once we had the crew that we were working with when we did the What If video, and then moving after that, we were invited on King of the Road. And I think they did that as a joke. Like we were the butt of the joke. Like, oh, it's like this team, blah, 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 and Blind. And like, I was kind of like, oh, well, we should still go, So I remember talking to the guys and knowing from what I'd seen or read, like, this is going to suck, So I was like, look, and of course you got to like hurt people's feelings because everyone wants to go on the trip, but you can't. You can only have so many skaters, and you have to think about like who can do what. And
Right.
they're very broad, odd things that are requested and it's different skill sets. So, inevitably, I sat down with the guys and I was like, look, like, if we're going to go, let's just fucking try because this is going to suck anyways. And everyone was down and, we went and I felt like we definitely, it was Krieger, James, Craig, Jake Duncombe, Morgan Smith, and Danny Sarazzini.
Oh, wow.
That's a good squad.
Talented
Sure.
group of
That's a good squad.
skateboarders.
And then,
definitely.
I drove, filmed, log footage, and did some skating when I had to. And everybody in that group is got a pretty good skill set on everything, but they, so it was like whatever we ended up doing is like they just would get out and attack, and it was amazing and frustrating and chaotic. And I remember we got so far into it, and then Duncombe, I remember like he just wasn't kind of like lively or loud, and I would look and I'm like, dude, so I took him to a walking clinic and like, yeah, I think something's wrong with him, and he's like all fucked up, and he's like, dude, you're going to have to put your son in a hotel. I'm like, first of all, it's not my son. Second of all, we can't. We're on a road trip. He's like, he's got a full-fledged pneumonia. And I'm like,
Oh my
dude.
gosh.
So,
Wow.
you know,
Well,
whatever. We put him in the middle. I went and got like everyone gloves, masks, fucking hand sanitizer. And for the next 3-4 days of that trip, dude, it was like there was the middle and everyone was just sitting as far away from the middle as possible.
Jeez.
And we would get to truck stops or whatever, and he would get out and like take his sweatshirt off. It was just soaking wet, and then he would get back in his little thing. And
Miserable.
Damn.
so we were without his skating as well, which was a massive blow throughout the thing. And then I remember I just saw him pop up, and he's smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, he's back.
He's
Oh my
you know.
gosh.
And then like he just like took charge. Like, dude, he was like, it was insane. Like,
Wow.
you name it, boom, boom, boom. And I remember like when we were like getting towards the end of it, you know, we were probably sleeping 3 hours a night, nonstop. You know, fucking. You go to bed once everyone's to the hotel and fed 2-3 in the morning. Wake up at 6, log footage out the door at 9 to the whole day of just shit or whatever you got to do. And I remember when we got to the end of it, I was like, I think the last night we went to Volcom because one of the tricks on the list was cab flip over a real spine.
Oh,
And
shit.
I was like, that's probably never going to happen, but whatever. So we went there and Duncan was just trying over and over and over. And I turned my head and I looked and he just did it perfect. And I was like, fuck, you know, whatever happens, we definitely gave it the whatever. And we ended up winning. And it was like a
Amazing.
big deal for us,
Yeah.
you know, like that no one cared about, you know. So,
well, especially because they were trying to mock you. So
well,
supposedly.
whatever. But, you know, you still get lots of coverage in the mag.
Yeah.
Kind of puts a bit of a footprint. And then with that being said, you know, then we were invited to the Vans Downtown Showdown at Paramount. And, you know, we won that. And it was like, so there was becoming, you know, and then the next year we got second at that. And then, you know, little things like, you know, we were putting videos out constantly. They invited us to the Do Tour. We won the team challenge. Next year we won it again. Third year we won it again. And people are getting burnt. They're like, you know, so it created fun rivalry and whatever. And you think that all this stuff sort of does something when it really doesn't, but it doesn't hurt either.
Sure.
You know, but it really kind of helped establish sort of the tempo with the team and the kind of people. And a lot of the times, the guys that, you know, that I was interested in, you know, because in skateboarding, everyone has something to say about everybody. And it's kind of ironic because I always felt like skateboarders are worse to other skaters than the jocks that they used to complain about making fun of them, you know? And I'm like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you all be kind of more down with each other? But whatever. So a lot of the guys that, you know, I've worked with over the years someone's always got something to say about somebody. And
Sure.
I'm like, dude, do you even know this person? Like, you know, and it's just interesting because it's constant in skateboarding. Like
Oh,
that.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there's just been super awesome dudes to work with, great different types of skateboarding, and they all kind of bring something different to the table.
Well, dude, have you found like some incredible talent, like as younger kids, like Yuto
Oh, yeah.
coming up, like
Bro.
like seeing it, he was on
Yeah.
on Blind to start with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He, I basically, I knew he was up here, and they were like, "You should go skate with him one day." I remember skating with him all day, and I'm not the type to put someone through the tour van. I don't expect everyone to be pretend friends or dress the same or whatever. I'm like, "Do you want to ride for Blind?" He's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Let's do this." So, you know, the first day I saw him skate, without question, I'm like, "Dude, this dude's on another level."
Right.
You know what I mean? And he actually ended up going home 2 days after he got on. And I remember as soon as he left, I was like, I got to get him back here right now. Like, you know, and I was
Why?
like, he just needs to be in front of everything. So, you know, I was very adamant to the magazines and to everyone. I'm like, you know, hey, I got this guy, and they hear that every day, and they're like, yeah, whatever. But they took my word for it. So I lined up a bunch of different stuff. You know, if it was the AM video part on, I think it was the Skateboard mag at the time. I forget what the Next Wave, is that what they were called?
I think they were New Wave.
New Wave.
New Wave.
And then, you know, Lunatic Fringe and Thrasher. Like, so we were just nonstop. And when he got back, A, he didn't speak any English. B, I don't speak any Japanese. So I go to the airport. I barely know the guy. I can't find him for 2 hours. I finally find him, bring him back to my house, like put him in my daughter's room, like move him in there, and basically like communicated with like flashcards and photos. You know, I'm like, burrito, burger? He's like, yeah, burrito. I'm like, let's do this. Okay. And,
So
you know,
rad.
we just nonstop, like every day, dude, skate all day, you know, get him food, get him home, like set him up in the room, and just try and like get him involved as much stuff as possible. And then, you know,
How old was he at this point?
probably 16 or 17. And then also he's a good vert skater, exceptionally good vert skater. And I wanted to put that in front of people too, because A, I knew his brand of street skating was like almost nothing I've ever seen, how effortless he skates and confident and trick selection. But he also rips vert like it's nobody's business and can do proper fives, proper airs, good lip tricks, you know. So I was trying to put that in front of people as well. And, you know, the main thing I think during a lot of that time was I was watching Street League and I was constantly hitting those guys up. I'm like, dude, is there a way you might want to take a look at Yuto, because I think like he could really make a difference on what you guys are doing. And they're like, you know, we have this like very structured way to get in. And I'm like, I know, but like, I think you guys will be stoked if he's in there. And,
Yeah.
you know, they're just like gracious no's, but we have a process. I'm like, okay. So I was constantly kind of beating on that door. And I remember I was driving with Yuto one day, and I believe it was Brian Atlas called me, and he's like, hey, do you think you could get him over to Barcelona in a couple days? And I'm like, and Yuto's there, but he doesn't know what we're talking about. I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're right, dude. Like, so Yuto goes to Barcelona, and to make matters even weirder, it's not like he's in. He has to be the two highest scoring guys that aren't in the league to go into the next round, which he, of course, did. I think it might have been him and Evan Smith. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But then he podiums first one. Then the rest, you know, for him, obviously, you know, he just going off in those things.
Sure.
Yeah,
So, you know, it was just really fun to like watch and be out there with him in those like earlier stages, you know, and just obviously seeing that level of skateboarding.
Yeah.
How do you find all this young talent, dude?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people that believe in the, you know, we're going to meet this kid, we'll bring him out sometime, we're going to take him on tour. If this guy doesn't like his shirt, then he might not ever get on. I'm like, dude, like, you know, unless someone does something really horrid, most skateboarders are fucking assholes when they're young. You know, I certainly was.
For sure.
But, you know, it's a lot easier for them to take someone under your wing and sort of show them the ropes and help them than judge them, you know?
Sure.
So, you know, that being said, like, as much as I can say, like, skateboarding is a love-hate relationship with me personally, business, physically, but the one thing I really enjoy is seeing kids succeed and helping in any way I can, you know?
Definitely.
And then, you know, me being how I was like wasted for it seems like 20 years minimum. That's being generous. But, you know, not once when I was like that did anyone ever put their arm around me, one of my team managers, and say, hey, are you all right? It was more like, fucking get him wasted and watch him go. And it's like, I don't resent that, but it's the total opposite of how I work with people.
Sure.
And it's like, a lot with these kids, it's like, I'm not their dad, but I'm the closest thing, and I'm very honest with them. My only hope is that they don't hit the same walls I do, but everyone's got to live and learn.
Right.
So if I can help them avoid a few of those and, you know, whatever, and just them knowing that they can call me anytime, day or night, or if, you know, it's not easy being from another country. It's great when you're out skating all day, but when you're 35 days in and you get dropped off and you're just sitting in a room with no TV, no clean laundry, little things.
It's tough.
It wears on
Yeah.
people, and it's tough for, you know, any skater, let alone one that has a language barrier or, you know, isn't making income or doesn't have, you know. So I like to try and facilitate those things. And again, like, to me, like, that's the one thing, it never fails. Like, seeing them succeed, no matter where it takes them, is like, that's enough for me.
It's a beautiful thing.
Seems
for
like
sure.
you're like a mentor, obviously. To
Well,
these
I
kids.
mean, I again, like, I'm just telling them honest truth.
Right.
You know, I was a mess, dude. Like, and not like other people weren't partying, but I just, you know, I had given up on myself. I partied nonstop, you know. It was ironic on the flip side. Like, it took me realizing, like, I just didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And fortunately, I hate hangovers more than anything in the world. So now I try and avoid them as best as I can. Not like I don't like to party. I love having fun. I love good times with good friends. But, you know, it just gets old after a while. But when you're in it, and that's part of what you think,
right.
it almost felt like I was wearing like a suit of armor, like I had to be on. And,
right.
you know, with no one sort of getting in your face or saying, what are you doing? It's easy to just fucking, you know,
Totally.
Nobody beats the party, right? It's like, if you get too far, it's hard to fucking creep out.
Who's gonna say something to Bill Weiss? Like,
I mean, maybe not wearing clothes kept them at a safe distance, but you know, it's like
No, I totally
people
get it.
party, and that's part of skateboarding. But
For
it's
sure.
really easy to sort of
No
ride
doubt.
that
Yeah, for
party
sure.
road, and not many times do people sort of talk to people that are going through that. It's more just, oh, everyone's doing it, but you know,
Yeah.
a lot of people can be in rough shape, and you have long-term effects that. You know, and
doubt.
then the next thing you know, it's like the company's like, oh, we got to let him go. He parties too much, except for that's what they were marketing you as. And you're like,
Right.
wait,
Yeah, it's
wait
wild.
a second,
Yeah.
what?
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
the most fucked up thing ever. But like I said, you know, skateboarding, as much as we've been submersed in it, is still relatively new, you know, and it's very, you know, I often hear people talk about like, oh, skateboarding's a sport. I'm like, whoa, dude, skateboarding is not a sport.
Right.
Like, if you can shoot 20, 10, and 10 in the NBA, you'll get paid on that line, guaranteed, no matter what. No matter what kind of asshole you could be, you're going to get your money. Skateboarding, you be the best dude in the world, a group of guys doesn't like you, and you might not ever get sponsored.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, we still got a long way to go there, you know? And it's, you know, but trying to say it's a sport, it really isn't, you know? And so many people, it's such a long journey. And again, like, the cool thing about skating is it's like, you don't have to do tricks to have fun doing it. You don't have to be good at skateboarding to enjoy it. Like, it just becomes your own thing, right? And you know, fortunately for most people that pick up a skateboard, you never really put it down,
Right.
you know? But
That really picked up the skateboard, you know what
Sure.
I mean?
Yeah,
There's,
yeah, yeah.
there's people that are like, I used to skate back, and then they picked it up
Yeah.
for like 2 seconds. But at least they picked it up.
Sure.
Right.
You know?
But I think, like, you know, with anyone, you know, we joke about, like, it will punish you, and that's a given. And more times than not, it's the stupidest thing that just takes you down.
Sure.
But, you know, I think most skaters have that, like, it still presents this challenge that's only to you, and it's like,
Right.
it's sort of never-ending,
For sure.
you know, battle that you can have fun with or have a worst day ever.
You
but
can't
then
beat, you
all
can't
of a
beat
sudden,
skateboarding.
yeah, you can't learn everything. You'll never master it, you know. So
Well, talking about falling and stuff like that, you've had some pretty harsh slams in your day.
yeah, not until like 30 through 40, I didn't really skate all that much. I was filming a lot, or I had a camera, and then I was like either doing something else, and you know, I was definitely not that into skating at that point. But I skated pretty often, just not for whatever reason. But then like 40, vert ramps started popping around again, and I started going, and it was like super sick. Like, you know, there was a ramp, Grosso had a ramp that he would let us skate, and it was like the best thing ever. It was like an 80s ramp. You go there, it's like Lance is there, Grosso, Lester Kasai,
Amazing.
Omar Hassan, like you name it, all
Legends.
these people, and
Yeah.
you're just like, whoa, it's like a full time warp. You know, Hassoy's there dressing. It was amazing. And I had fallen, I broke my wrist, and they put a plate right here, just a little plate, and I remember being like, and I was like, you know how you fall certain ways sometimes, it's just one of your things, and I was like, dude, I always fall like that. I'm like, if I fall like that really hard, I'm going to break my forearm.
Oof.
Year later
But-
to the day. Like, I fell, just heard an explosion, looked, both bones severed. Like it's like kicking a pencil on a curb, basically.
Where, like the plate was where?
It was
in your-
right here. So both bones snapped across.
Kind of above the
Yeah,
plate.
because when the metal doesn't move,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right? So if you put a pencil right here and you put pressure on, it's going to snap.
that
Yeah.
Right?
pressure
So
did
both
it.
bones went that way. And it was like, it was the day Clay Kreiner, I believe it was his first video part for Madness. Long story short, I'm in like beach attire. I think I had flip-flops on, some questionable shorts. And we go down to this park in Vista. He's there with his parents that flew out for the premiere. Mike Burnett, some of the other dudes are there doing like a burnout for the day. And they're like, oh, you should get something. And I'm like, oh, and then, I'm talking to his parents, and I'm like, oh, I'll mess with something. So I tried this one thing, and Burnett's like, dude, it looks dope. Do it. It was like a ode to Mike Carroll 1 foot off this sort of quarter pipe to flat bank, steep flat bank. So I'm like, oh, get this done. And go back, and I see Clay, and he's walking across the street with a 12-pack. He's like, you want a beer? I'm like, no, hang on. Oh, God, I wish I had the beer. And I, like, did it and landed in a nose wheelie and, like, whipped out at the bottom. And I slammed super hard, and I was like, dude, that was way too much for this. And I was sitting there. I was like, dude, are you all right? And I was like, yeah. I was like, all right. So I went back. Exact same thing, more nose wheelie down. And I just heard boom. And I just looked up, and everyone's face is like, I looked at my arm, and I just put it in my shirt, ran to my car, put the AC on. Everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? And I was just like, dude, this is nightmare. Like, totally hanging off, So I'm like, I got to go. And I was going to drive to the hospital. And Clay's dad, who I just met, is like, dude, I'll take you. I'm like, it's all right. You're here for a part. He's like, no, I'll take you. So he drove me to the hospital. We get there. It's like 1,000 people. And I'm just sitting there, and like, I'm like, dude. And then this doctor walks by. He's like, hey, whoa. And he just like grabbed me out of the line, and they took me back. I'm sitting there, and the X-tech's like, or X-ray tech's like, okay, you need to straighten your arm. And I'm like, dude, chill for a second. He's like, no. And he's like, you need to do your elbow. I'm like, chill out, dude. And I just lifted my arm and clonked it over so it was in a perfect Z. And he's like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. And whatever. So then I get out of there. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And then I told Clay's dad, I'm like, hey, I appreciate it so much that, but please go and, enjoy the night. Go watch the part. And he's like, I'm not leaving you here, dude. I'm like, I know, but you flew out, like, please, you know. And I also knew I wasn't getting surgery there. I was an SD. I figured I'd have to be up here, whatever, see a specialist. So finally, I was just assured him, like, by all means, please go see I don't want you to miss this. It's a big moment for all of you.
Yeah.
And he leaves, and then they come back in, and I'm like, hey, can you guys just straighten this and put it in a splint? They're like, we're going to have to sedate you to do that. I'm like, dude, I don't care. Just like, just do it. And so like 5 people come in, and they like yanked it straight and put it in a splint. And I was like, it felt like an elephant stood on my nuts. I was like, once it's in the splint, I was like, I text Clay's dad. I'm like, did they start the video? And he's like, no, I think like 20 minutes. I was like, I'll be right there. And he was like, what? So I like rolled in, and I remember everyone was just like, that was there was like, dude, what are you doing here? And I remember I grabbed the microphone. I was like, hey, skateboarding's dangerous. Like, enjoy the show. And I had like 1 beer, and then I was out. And, so then I had to have this crazy surgery, went through that process. Through the course of that, I couldn't like skate or work out. So I started like doing a lot more like veggie-based foods and just trying that and reading a lot about that. And kind of got really sucked into that, not 100%, but it was pretty, I was like fascinated with it, and how it works with the body. And then I started going to the gym again, and I heard something pop, and I was like, dude, I think I just broke my arm. And I'm like, no fucking way. So I called my doctor. I'm like, hey, I think I just broke my arm at the gym. He's like, no, it's impossible. X-rays. Oh, the plate snapped in half. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Plate?
Yeah. So they had to do the surgery again. So again, I'm like on these like kind of big gaps of recovery.
Good God.
And with these slams, I'm always thinking like of my kids right away. I'm like, what an asshole. Like, I'm taking time away from them. What the fuck am I skating? Like I'm an idiot. And then I am constantly wrestling like with them. Am I done? You know? And so of course not. And then I get back to skating and I'm at the Vans Park and I slam and everyone's like, dude, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I get out and I'm just sitting there and I knew something super fucked up happened, but there was so much pain. I couldn't figure out what happened. And I couldn't take my pads off because what I didn't know was I broke the cap off my elbow and this wrist at the same time.
Oh my god!
So I'm sitting there and I'm like chewing my pads off. And finally I like stand up to skate out of the park and I just felt like I was going to vomit. So I knew something was tweaked. I get in my car. I call my kids. I'm like, hey, I got to go to the hospital. I'm sorry. And I felt like such a dick. And they're like, okay. And I touched my elbow and I was like, ooh. Like that's not good. And I it felt like a sawed in half hardball. I was like, it was just floating and I'm like, ooh.
You could feel it.
Yeah. So I get to the hospital and the hematoma where the blood rushes to protect the area. I shit you not, was like this big, right? And I'm like, dude. And I remember calling Bod and a couple other people. I'm like, dude. And he's like, not again. I'm like, dude, you should see my fucking elbow. And, you know, so I'm waiting for the doctor because now I'm just like curious. I'm like, what do they do? You can't drain it. It's your blood, you know? And anyway, so long story short, focused my elbow, had to have surgery on that. Then I'm just like going to bed every night, like, total loser dad. Like, why did I do this again? Feel bad for my kids. But at the same rate, I think this kind of has been somewhat inspirational to them because they know I'm old as fuck. They've seen me eat shit. A lot of the times when I'm out skating, it's just me and my daughter, and like I'm having fits or eating shit. She's laughing while filming me. It's a nice moment.
Right.
You know?
It's a nice moment.
And so this time I'm like, I'm done. Like, I fuck this, you know? And I'm going to bed and I'm like, so invert? Like I slipped on and that's how it ends? Really? And I just couldn't deal with it. So I went to the doctor 9 a.m. in the morning to do a structural check. I'm like, hey, what do you think? He's like, dude, you're healing really well. He's like, I was like, could this thing take a hit? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, can I slam on it? He's like, yeah. So I just drove straight to the Vans Park with no real idea of what I was doing, but I waited until they opened, mopped the ramp, and I was so scared to skate, but I was also like I got to do something. And I tried one invert. It was like the worst attempt ever. And I was like, dude, like so shook. Like, so I sat there and I was like, I got to do the next one. And I just did it. And I took my pads off and I felt so happy that it like relieved all that pressure to where I'm like, now whatever. I'm like, you know, but it was just like that notion of like, so you can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? It's a weird feeling.
Totally. The invert arm was the same arm? It was
all
arm,
the same wrist,
arm.
forearm. Okay. So a lot of metal in there, but
God damn.
Yeah.
How's it feel now?
It's pretty jacked, honestly. I'm actually going to see a specialist tomorrow because there's so much nerve damage from the incisions. Oh. I think I like tore a ligament, but literally, who cares about my arms? But, you know, it's just interesting as you get older, you know, and it's really easy to pack it up and be like, whatever, except for the fact that it's not, you know, I think that's like in the skate somewhere where you're like, you know, obviously it gets harder to do certain stuff and it's very frustrating when your go-tos become your not happenings and, you know, but it's a fun process.
Yeah.
Sure. Like nothing still like gets me psyched than like, it could be as simple as just like board sliding a curb or whatever. And I'm like, dude, it's so funny. That little feeling is permanent.
It's so permanent.
Regardless of how much pain it beats you with or, you know.
It's the best feeling ever, man.
It is. It is. And I know when you get older, it's tough. Like you said, it's a kind of a battle. It's like, I want to give it up, but you can't.
I know.
And
It's,
like,
I think too, I also recognize like years ago that passion provides you the key to anything, but not everyone gets passion, right? And I don't mean monetarily or financially, but if you really are passionate about something, it can lead you in so many different directions, you know? And it's like, I think with skateboarding, like, it's so easy to forget that when you've been in the mess for long enough, but those little glimmers, like, you just sit back and it's like, of course, you know, watching the amazing skateboarding that's happening, the innovation, or watching the guys that I was raised by ripping still, or
Yeah.
there's like endless sources, right? And
sure.
you know, most people might have a photo of like Fiji on their fridge, and that's enough to get them through, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like in skateboarding, like, you know, it takes people around the world, it, you know, new friends, you know, all these different opportunities.
Totally.
And like I said, it can get cloudy for sure, you know, but it's always nice to center and just like remember, like, dude, like skateboarding. I mean, the best lesson has always been like, and I try and pass this on to everyone. It's like skateboarding owes me nothing. I owe everything I have, good or bad, to it,
Yeah.
you know? And I know it's hard to understand that sometimes, but it's like, I didn't ever pick it up to get anything from it.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
And it's like, you know, like I said, you can lose track of that. But now at my age now and just skating and like the simplest trick sometimes just feels so good. And you like, it's almost like you're sitting next to your 12-year-old self.
For sure.
And all of it's like new again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then new or old tricks become your new tricks. And
Yeah.
it's full circle, you know?
Well, it's even, you know, when I started skating curbs with Roger, it was like, slappy, this fucking thing, you know, but it opened up a whole new universe to me of learning tricks that I could probably do on a ledge, but actually bashing into them. And it opened up a whole new,
Dude.
like, world of tricks for me, you
And
know, it was
fun,
like
and
really
fun.
and fun. And,
Yeah.
but it was a bizarre kind of transition.
Well, I know you were
know?
super technical too, but
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff I see everyone doing, like slapping curbs. For the record, I cannot slappy curbs. It's embarrassing, but it's true. Duffy can really slappy curbs, and so can many people today. But it's almost like curb skating has evolved at such a level now that it's like a finesse. Like
For
I
sure.
trip out, dude.
Yeah.
Like the stuff people can do. It's now there's a lane for everything.
Sure.
Back in the day, you had to try and do this because
Yeah.
this is a status quo. Vert sucks. We get rid of it. You know, that's just how it was, you know. And the funny thing
Bring
was,
Vert back.
well, I think there's some people.
There
definitely
is.
coming.
There's definitely-
some people
yeah.
laying
Wilkins.
it down. Jimmy
Yeah,
Wilkins
no
is
doubt.
I think
definitely one of them.
they're trying to make it like a Olympic.
I mean, it's amazing
Thing.
that it wasn't in
Sure.
the
Yeah.
Olympics
Yeah.
because the
Right.
bowl's one thing, but the bowl misses a lot of airtime.
Yeah.
Whereas Vert, it's, you know, the reps are great, and the stuff obviously you've seen from, you know, Tony Hawk, Kasoy, Miller,
Oh, yeah.
Cab, Lance to, you know, Jimmy Wilkins, Pierre Luc, Danny Way, Colin, like
Burnquist.
when they set, Burnquist,
Yeah.
when they set in Tom Boyle, when they set into routines, like they like master that shit.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like easy to forget how gnarly these runs are, you know, and for the public, I think Vert in the Olympics would be the best fit.
For sure.
So when we did the Street
Yeah.
League in Utah and they had the Tony Hawk thing,
Yeah. Demo
Everybody
or
that
like
the demo
Legends.
Legends thing,
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I was blown away. Like to see all these guys skate a ramp, like a vert ramp in person together. I'm like, I don't even know if I'll ever.
It's like seeing the Beatles
I,
live.
I don't know if I'll ever witness this again. I got to take this all in, you know. I mean, I'm not even a phone guy, but I was like filming fucking
Yeah.
the shit. But you know, the crowd. I noticed the crowd. I mean, even when somebody would just do probably an ollie compared to what we, you know, it's like just the ollie on flat ground. The crowd would go crazy.
Nostalgia's a powerful
Just
thing.
a back,
People are-
dude. Just a backside air. I mean, the
Cab doing a cab.
crowd.
The energy was
crazy.
there, for sure.
Energy, you
Yeah.
know, because it's exciting. You watch that shit in person.
Well, like you're saying, like, you know, that definitely, I saw that from afar, obviously, what, you know, and the group of people that were skating and all the street skaters watching
On the
and
side,
the big
yeah.
crowd
Oh.
stoked.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, what they were doing at the Vans Combi thing, it's like you're in a time capsule.
crazy.
And the energy is just like it always was on steroids, you know what I mean? And you're seeing, you're like, whoa, all the dudes you looked up to still skating, you know, it's just awesome.
And the new generation of street skaters who are in their best street skaters in the world getting so hyped
Oh, for sure.
for these guys. It was like, it was kind of a magical thing
super
that
dope.
I mean,
it was there.
Watching from afar, it looked
it
really
was
cool.
really
I-
magical.
I
bro.
trip out how they have to like think so fast on the like next trick. Like you hit huge air, the next trick, next trick, next trick, and
But it's all
as a
thought out,
street
yeah.
Yeah, I
skater,
mean,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
the reps are, you know, like I said, like That's why I think vert would be so good in the Olympics,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that even means. But it's like to win a vert gold, you're gonna have to be on it because
Put it
there's
together, yeah.
people are gonna be going. You know,
No doubt.
you've
Definitely.
obviously seen
You know what's-
Bob and Jimmy Wilkins and all these people, what they're capable of.
But even the
like,
doubles that like Tony and Andy do,
It's insane.
It's like wow.
yeah,
So,
and
I'm
that like goes overlooked to a certain degree,
Bro.
where you look at it and you're like, how did they do that and like figure that out?
It's insane.
I trip out because I was watching the park at the Olympics and listening to some people talk like, oh yeah, that guy skates more like he's as a vert skater, and this guy's more of the park skater. I'm like, I can't tell the difference by watching him skate the park.
Well-
like because I'm not fully in tune with that yet. You know what I mean? So I was like interested. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't realize that. That's like two completely different things.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I think that, quickly shout out to the digital duo Rune Glifberg and Crumb. I think they might have won gold doubles somehow, somewhere, but good work, guys.
Amazing skaters. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the difference is like on a vert ramp, repetition is everything, right? And if you want to do airs or have your stuff going, you have to have like this vert pump, very steady. So as you're wondering, like, how do you think like that? It's all you're thinking a wall ahead, anyways, right? With the bowl stuff, it's a little more sporadic. But the thing you see clearly is in the bowls, you might see a couple decent airs, but in vert, you're usually looking at 6 to 7 feet as the back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why, coupled in with the spins and the flip tricks and the lip tricks, or you name it, inverts, whatever, it's such a good little show.
It is.
Because to be the guy that's going to win, you are on a wild one. You know, Hawk at his best,
my
Hessoy at
God,
his
yeah.
best, Bob Byrne, like that Bob Burnquist run that's online. It's the craziest thing ever. And that was like a run.
Yeah.
And you watch it and you're like, I think he ends it with a blunt kickflip or something.
The X Games one?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
you're
right,
just
yeah.
like, what?
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And he did like every hard trick like that no one else could do before all of that shit.
Probably some of them were switched too.
Or you look
Yeah.
at like Bucky Lasek to this day, like
Bucky
he's
Lasek's still a
only
G.
better now. And that dude, we're this close to the same age, and he is fucking ripping.
Yeah. I never grew up on the vert. You know, I was, the vert button in skate videos.
Yeah, of
It was
course.
just- but I respect it, and I know. But when you see it in person, it's a whole different.
It's
fucking
wild,
Thing. It
dude.
is so fucking exciting and just impressive.
Well, I think too, maybe what you got to see a bit about is like I told you, like in the back, like or in the past, what drew us out was like you see a photo in a magazine enough times, that's the ramp. You just want to be there, and when you get there, the sessions are just like that, right?
Right.
I'm sure you've been in plenty of amazing sessions at Good Ledges or Manual Islands or whatever, where that group of people's there. There's magic happening left and
yeah.
right, you know,
Right.
and it's being fueled by each other, and everyone wants a piece of it, you know, and that's the thing that's super cool about like sessioning like that when there is no end game.
yeah.
You know, the best only chase their own tails. They're not constantly looking around for, what someone else is doing. They're just working on their thing, and
Right.
you throw that into sessions, and it's like you're just like, damn, dude, you know.
Well, then you get the mega ramp now too and stuff like that.
Good
And like
God.
all the guys you have on Madness, I mean, I don't know. That shit is completely insane. All the riders you have in that company are wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's, I mean, it's again like it's a different kind of skateboarding. You know, a lot of it's rooted in transition skating, but at the end of the day, all those guys skate everything as well. And like they all like to skate street as well. You know, a lot of them are super into the curves. You know, but I think what happened is, during my time in vert skating, there was a ramp. That's what you skated. Then when all that disappeared and all these bowls started popping up, all these guys just skate transition. You know, you could look back to say like a McCrank was one of the first hybrids of, he was just fucking good at everything. Why? Look at what he grew up skating,
True.
and he just killed everything. He looked, or you look at Creature. I remember specifically when like Al Navarrete and Sam Hitz were like, we're doing Creature again. I'm like, you fucking crazy? But they hit it at a time where they were done with fucking what skateboarding's supposed to be. They just skated what they liked, fucking hit everything perfect timing, what the kind of skating they were pushing, being part of the park movement. Next thing you know, the whole fucking world's green.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, dude, this is a brilliant, like they did it on their own terms.
Totally.
You know?
Timing is everything.
Right. And
exactly.
Totally.
Yeah,
And
they're
it was amazing to see, you know,
they're like the number one brand for a while too.
dude, they've been fucking
Killing it.
nonstop.
Yeah.
But it was really that. I think that those guys were like, you know what? We like to skate pools and we like to skate vert, and that's what we're doing. And now there's parks too. We're gonna skate those, and they just killed it. You know,
That's their secret sauce.
yeah.
I want to get into the whole madness thing actually, but I just want to go back to Blind really quick because I had a thought. I was like, well, you were talking about moving the needle on
Yep.
certain things, and rebuilding Blind, 18 years in the making. How do you judge that needle? Is it monthly, or because I feel like if you change directions in a company, you have to wait a certain period of time to
100%.
see how that moved the needle, and if it does, is there a certain time period that you kind of wait and see if something's working or not working? And how
Yeah.
do you even like navigate that?
I think that there's a couple things. One, I always joke like I want a board wall of all my worst ideas, boards that made it to graphic. You know, because when you don't know what you're doing, you're trying everything to fit something that you're not. And like I said, that's like a traditional problem, you know, whatever the company may be, when it comes out, everyone's like, dude, this shit's sick. And 5 years later, it's massive. Chances are it's not always going to be the coolest thing since sliced bread. That's guaranteed, right? You just don't know when that time comes.
Sure.
And I don't want to throw any companies' names in that, but we've all seen it happen, right? So in the case of Blind, they just ran with the character just on everything. It was like, whatever, there's no thought behind it.
Yeah.
You kind of walk away from that. Then during that era, you know, you have like Girl in Chocolate, Strong, Workshop, Baker, I don't know, Death Wish comes after that. Different brands, you know, Blueprint, maybe Polar later on.
Okay,
Is starting
okay.
to emerge.
Sure.
There's these big shifts, quasi, like different stuff's
yeah.
happening. Obviously to FA and hockey and you
Yeah.
know all these cool
Welcome.
brands. Yeah, and you know, Blind was already someone's favorite brand 3 different times.
Yeah.
So chances are it's going to fall out, right? And when you're trying to fix that, it's kind of impossible because you're trying to appease to people that have already outgrown the situation. Where it's like, you know, if the hot trend is to wear all red and everyone's wearing all red, you can bank on one thing. At some point, they're not going to wear all red, sure, right? But it's hard to predict. Now, on the flip side of that, you want to just put out good skateboarding. You want to build some sort of vibe, and you want to have people that can tolerate each other and, you know, skate together and have fun.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that, you can tell authentically that there's some camaraderie and people are down for the cause. Secondly, you keep pounding at the rock and putting out good content that the haters get a little less about, well, I don't know about his visor, or I don't know about his sunglasses, or I don't know about his shoelaces, or whatever they want to cherry pick to not hate, you know. So you start to win some of those guys over, or you start touring, which is probably the best thing you can do, because then at least you're going to shake hands and meet people and kick it with people. And, you know, you got the guys like, yeah, I wasn't going to go to this fucking demo, but, you know, they were all right. You know, whatever. And, you know, you kick it with them, you have a beer with them, whatever, talk, get to meet them. Mm-hmm. You start, I wouldn't say winning people over, but just being who you are, and it starts to work. And then to the graphic conundrum, right? You, at least for me, you try everything, and the more you do that, you know you're just going in the wrong direction. So, you know, you start to hone in on things that matter to you. And of course, the 2 things that I've always thought were great about Blind are the OG logo that Mark did is just timeless. It's just got such prevalence, and it's just, it just looks nice, you
Beautiful,
know?
yeah.
And then the original Reaper, you know, I see a lot of people that were always doing collabs, and to this day, collabs are everywhere. But I was always kind of like, why would we do collabs when we have the Bugs Bunny of skateboard art? Let's bring him back in a slower pace, you know, and just be who we are. And
Not
to me,
abuse it.
Sure.
Right.
I just think that like our symbols out are the OG logo and the Reaper. Those are two things that are truly blind. You know,
And I always heard about the pants. Weren't
Yeah.
those huge back in the day?
Well,
yeah,
Jeans are great,
well,
yeah.
They were.
huge and big.
Both of those. Both of those.
But yeah, Blind was, I think, the first company to do jeans, and you know, at the time, sizing was crazy. There wasn't really much to them. You know, there was a tag,
Yeah.
but at the time, it was very similar to the shoe industry. Like, these are skateboarder jeans. Skaters wanted to wear them. I mean, everybody I can think of during that era wore Blind jeans.
Oh,
If
yeah.
they had anything
Oh,
to
yeah.
do with Dwindle or not, they got.
Sure.
You know, I used to wear Sheffy's hand-me-downs with the stickers on the bottom
Oh,
and
yeah.
shit.
Sick.
And they were like big. And I was psyched.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We were
You
all
know?
psyched at that time for sure.
Didn't you guys bring him back?
We did, yeah.
How did
And,
that go?
It does pretty good. I think that a lot of like the different brands, you know, I think a lot of the different brands out there have their own take on that right now, because you see a lot baggier clothes, and it's
Yeah.
definitely getting a little extended at this point. But I'm not
It's coming
14,
back.
so
It's
it's like
coming back around, it seems
no
like,
one,
for sure.
you know, but you know, it's cool to see, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, there's really a lane for everyone in skateboarding now, whereas a lot of what most everyone in this room have went through was like all this trial and error, and you know, a lot of judgment and a lot of harshness, and you know, where it's like now you do whatever you want, and there's a spot, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting to gauge where something's going and where something. I mean, it seems like an impossible task, you know. But I think on the other hand to that is like you're also the blind skaters. I mean, it speaks for themselves. It's like you've put together this like incredible team that you're letting the skating do the talking too.
I mean, I'm always a fan of that. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, I've kind of had it. Everyone's got something to say about everyone. Where I was always saying, you know, I've heard people say this about big rail skaters or Manny skaters or curb skaters or vert skaters. I'm like, yeah, but if you were there, you would not say a word like this. You would just be shocked, awe, and psyched.
Sure.
You know, so it's
Right.
like, regardless if it's a 25 stair rail and it's not your thing, you don't have to really like it, but you should respect it, because I've tried manuals. They don't like me. I suck. I suck at a lot of skateboarding things, but you know, I respect the level of talent that it goes into people that are really good at manis.
It's tough.
That's not easy thing to do.
Right.
The guys that are down to get on the big rails, it's not easy thing to do.
doubt.
The guys that just have proper finesse and pop, like all the ingredients of skateboarding are good like that. You know,
Well,
Right.
I remember Carlos Ruiz
Yeah.
going to El Toro, being like, "Oh, dude, Weiss, Gallant, like, dude, Weiss is going to El Toro. Meet me there. Carlos wants the back lip." And I don't even know who this kid is, but it's one of those things I didn't know about this kid, and nor did I really care yet, because I was like, "Oh, cool, this other kid is doing gnarly shit. Everyone's doing gnarly shit."
Yeah, nobody had heard him at that point.
But when you watch him do it in person, you have this like different look at it,
yeah.
right? And you meet the kid, he's like super cool. You're like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah, I
It
think,
happens a lot.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, in his case, you know, a lot of people would say, "Oh, he's super underdeveloped" or whatever. I'm like, I guess if that's how you see it, but he also backlipped El Toro and switch 50 that Heath Hubba in Carson or wherever. And I'm like, when I saw that happen, yeah, I get it. He's not the most fluid guy I'd ever seen skate. But I never seen anyone switch 50 the gnarliest Hubba to this day ever seen in my life on his lunch break.
Oh,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
on his lunch
Or
break.
back 50 at first try. Or so it's like I wasn't really trying to gauge him in any other way than he was ambitious. He was down, you know, and I thought it was hilarious. All these people like talking so much. "Oh, that guy, I can't believe he just backlipped El Toro and switched 50 to where's his tray flip?"
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? Go fucking try that yourself.
Dude, when
You
people
know?
were saying
Totally.
that, I mean, like Danny Way, I think I was on a DC trip back in the day, and Danny Way was like, "Dude, I want that kid on DC."
Yeah, well,
like it was like people were,
you know,
psyched.
there was a lot of people that were like, "Who's this new guy doing this crazy shit? Let's just
Yeah.
bash on him because it's the easiest thing
Sure.
to do." And then I was telling everyone like what was happening. Everyone was like, dude, yeah, I'm down to give him whatever. And, you know, you see it differently. And I understand both sides of it. But again, he was super humble. He wasn't trying to do anything other than whatever, to the point where we would tell him like, you don't have to fucking like just do crazy shit, like skate and have fun.
Yeah.
But it was in him to challenge himself at a crazy level. So who am I to say no? And I get a kick out of that shit.
Right. Right.
You're gonna switch 50 that fucking thing?
Let's go.
Grab me a lawn chair. You know, fucking, of course I want to go. And for, you know, like you said, you were at one of the missions to El Toro.
Yeah.
Those things started to get pretty big when he was like calling it out. So we would call everybody, like, come meet us.
Amazing.
And it didn't happen the first time, you know, but when it did, I tell you, that little ripple effect traveled a long way, because all of us were tripping,
yeah.
you know, and it was like,
Yeah, dude, I really laughed my ass off
Well,
when he
there's-
landed it. It was just insane to watch in person.
there's just one of those things where it's like, okay, whatever you want to say, but he did backlip El Toro.
Oh, yeah.
You go stand up there and ask yourself, like, am I willing to go through that?
He
You know?
did. He did the middle rail, right?
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
the middle? Yeah.
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 This
yeah.
And
like-
like talk about the trick that, I mean, I think everyone saw the switch front board that didn't go well on that, right?
Oh, Dan Peugeot.
Ooh, Dan,
Worst case
Dan
scenario,
Peugeot. Yeah.
Dude.
right?
Yeah.
Pitched.
Oh,
that's a whole.
it's
And
a
it's not-
really horrible fall.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Bad.
it's not like, you know, like no one wants to ever see anyone get hurt.
No.
No one want whatever. But at the same rate, people do understand the challenge in front of them. And for the amount of times and gnarly shit I've seen people do live, I've not really seen people get too worked. Skateboarders have a pretty relevant like idea of when things are going wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dan did try that in a line too.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, sometimes, yeah, you know, but again, like that's skateboarding, right? It's like for the amount of gnarly shit you see on the regular, people are still cranking that stuff out and relatively unharmed.
I mean, kids nowadays, that's their learning curve, is
Oh.
watching this shit now.
Well, when you see, you know, I always thought about it, and I think PJ was always to me like when I first heard about him and I actually saw his skateboarding, I was like, dude, this is what happens when natural talent meets what you put in front of someone. And he just blazed so far ahead of everyone. And I just remember being like, it's like he controls his board like no one I'd ever seen.
yeah.
It's
And the finesse and the catch and the everything was just so good. I was like, fuck.
That was such an enjoyable part of time in skateboarding when that PJ Lab video came out, because it like it hit the world, like skate world, so hard.
Dude,
It was
that
fun.
fucking line on the side of the
Yeah.
street is
Yeah.
like the
That
best thing
ledge.
ever.
Yeah, when solo ledges, yeah, that's
You
so
know?
good,
And
man.
his shoes, like you're falling off his feet. Like it's so sick, you know?
Yeah,
Skate rat.
Yeah.
Like, he is amazing.
It's an interesting time right now in skateboarding. And with that being said, you know, you starting up a company, Madness and everything. How did that even come about? What were you?
You know, Blind, you know, is not mine, right? And I've always wanted to do what I can to help it, and you know, and help the kids that ride for it, and sort of make it resonate with people again. And I think we've done a decent job. And I think, like I said, like I really like the characters that have ridden for it or ride for it now,
Yeah.
because they're down, you know, and it's like, it's such a vast group of talent that all bring something different to the table. So with Madness, you know, I'd always wanted to do something sort of that was inspired by that first 4 years of my skateboarding, where shape boards and like I remember every one I had. I remember why I liked it. I remember what color it was, what it smelled like all this goofy shit. And I was like, you know, I wanted to do something that shined light on transition skating of any kind. And I'd always played around with the idea, but it didn't really start moving until I don't know what year it was, but Mike Fraser was at Vert in I think it's Malmo, Sweden, where they have that. It's like an 80s vert ramp. They bring everyone from all different decades. It just looks like the best time, and it's like a big show and session for the weekend. And I remember Fraser, because of the time difference, I woke up and there's all these clips, and it was of Clay Kreiner skating that vert ramp padless, like hitting the roof, fucking. I was like, what? Who is this? And Fraser's like, dude, I don't know. I'm like, get me his number. And he's like, why? I was like, I don't know. Fucking figure it out. So his impact on me right there was just, I'm like, what? Whoa, dude. Like, I hadn't seen shit like that ever. And I was like, this is crazy. And then, of course, I had already been wanting to do something, and then I started to think about it more and more, and I was like, dude, it'd be so sick to, like, you know, every skateboard to a certain degree is the same. Like, I want to make different stuff, and I want to, like, you know, skateboards are $49.99. I'm like, why don't we make nicer skateboards that, you know, where you really can get into the wood shop and really fuck with like fit and finish and detail and like really put the energy into each board. And, you know, the more I started thinking about this, I started talking to a few people, and Sam Beckett was one of the riders. And I started sort of building this thing where, you know, Sam, Clay Kreiner, Alex Perlson to me was always one of my favorite skateboarders. So I wanted him involved. And I remember talking with them, you know, and again, we didn't really have a roadmap, but I was like, you know, we should make like really cool skateboards. And they're like, how cool can we make them? I'm like, I don't know, but we should fucking, everyone should be like super crazy. And I remember Sam was like, it's almost like you don't know if you want to skate it or hang it on the wall. And I was like, exactly. Like, that's how much I want to pour into each board. Right. And, so as this started going, you know, I was fortunate in a sense to start working with Eric Woolham at Dwindle and explaining kind of like what I was seeing, or, you know, and the name Madness, like, to me meant a lot. Like, I have next level OCD. I always have, but, you know, to a fault at points. But it also kind of represented like what I see skateboarding. Like, no one like puts a gun to someone's head and says, hey, skate that 20 stair and knock your teeth out and get back up and skate it some more. Mm-hmm. It's like a skateboarder's way, right? It's this madness of like, you know, like, what is really going on here? What is the drive? Why is it, did they conquer these? If, again, it could be a manual, it could be a big set of stairs, it could be whatever, but chances are that skater will get through this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And battling is an understatement compared to the mental stress and everything you go through. But the persistence is there, right? So, you know, Madness just seemed very fitting to skateboarding, at least for me, right? And then, you know, as we got into like ideas, like Woolham, like, so he, like, when I saw the first line, like, he so well like overachieved what my mind even was ever at to where he's at now. It's just like he's on one. Like, the way, the attention to detail he puts into the boards and like the graphic and like everything, like all the different inlays or textures, it's like phenomenal. And it's so rad to like work with someone that's like, he like outdoes it every time. I'm like, fucking, are you shitting me? You know? So it's like really fun because we made these, like, they were thought of, like, you know what I mean? Sure. Like, being part of that process is really exciting, and having, you know, my biggest challenge, how do we do it cooler next time? And being able to work with someone that's like gets that. And then of course, like, you know, working with Bod, who, you know, fully understood where my passion lied in this, and, you know, doing a new brand without question. Like, the last thing a shop wants is another skateboard company. I get it, dude. Like, it's like, fuck off, you know? So when I first started doing this, I would call the different shops around here and be like, hey, you know, I'm doing this thing. Like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, I'll come by, and they're like, oh, please don't. And I'm like, dude, you know, so I would show up, and I remember showing people, and they were like, this shit's sick as fuck. I'll take it all. Wow. And, you know, and I think a bit of what has happened is, you know, I think people enjoy the effort that we're putting into the product. And, you know, I think that, you know, it's fun when a brand has a reason to exist. And I feel like part of that's transition. Part of that is, you know, the kind of group that we've put together. I see it differently. You know, I'll see people in Australia versus people in France versus people in Canada. The brand means something different to everyone. It's not like you just get, Tony Hawk, Costin, and Day One, and this is the reason you're buying our new company. It's like, oh, you like, they see it and they appreciate, I think, some of the energy that goes in. So it just makes it that much more fun for us to do. And then, of course, at the end of the day, the skating that these guys do is really crazy, but also honest. Like, this is how they skate all the time, and being able to like capture that and present that, or get them out on the road and stuff, I think is like the funnest thing. Like, just to keep moving that for other people to enjoy it. Or
that's sick.
You got Ace Pelka.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, that dude's incredible, man.
Dude, I mean, again, I always try and try and find people that bring something different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, his form of skateboarding is so fun, yet it's gnarly. It's hard to decipher the difference between. Because he always looks like he's having fun, but he's doing fucking gnarly shit.
Yeah,
you know,
Slapping off roofs.
dude. That thing. I was thinking like of what and how that worked out for him versus if someone like me tried it and had to be carted away in an ambulance. Like, that's like commitment right there.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
god.
Because I can't slappy anything, but just knowing that someone's yelling at you, you got like one try, and if it doesn't work, you're a good 10 feet in the air.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sketchy.
I was stoked
Madness.
on that one.
Yeah.
But then, you got, all the dudes, like, we just put out a part for Martino on Thrasher, and I don't think all that many people in the States knew about his part, but if you haven't seen it, it's, dude, his brand of skateboarding is, like, insane.
Well, congrats.
Thanks.
Sounds like you're having fun doing it, and also, is it hard to juggle, like Blind and Madness?
They're two
and stuff?
different things.
Right.
I think that I'm passionate about both of them equally. I'm totally invested in what I do with the Blind guys as I am with the Madness, and because the skateboarding's different, it's kind of like listening to different music to a degree.
Yeah,
like
I
you
can see that.
you get in a different, mindset, like when you're skating the bowl versus like skating
sure,
straight or
for
whatever.
sure.
But it's all skateboarding. But yeah, it's like watching a drama or a comedy or something.
Yeah.
You shift gears, right?
Yeah.
Ups
And
and downs.
and I'm lucky in the sense that these guys, if it's the people that I work with behind the scenes or the skaters themselves, they inspire me so much that it's like, it doesn't feel like work, even though it's fucking crazy,
Yeah.
But it's so like fun to work on all this stuff and make shit happen with them.
Well, I love that about you, because you're not only like, there, doing team manager stuff, but you're out in the streets with them too. I think
Yeah.
wasn't TJ telling the story how when he first got here, you took him to like El Toro, like straight off the bat or
No,
something?
that we went straight from LAX to Hollywood.
Oh,
yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah.
That's right. The
And I
Hollywood
mean,
16.
he was gassed on giving it a whirl. It was kind of dark, and he did leave with staples. But I mean, he did end up doing it.
He did it,
It was
yeah.
ruthless, and it's like, I don't get out as much as I used to by any means, but I always like being there when it's really going down, because it's like, I just feel like all the energy when and a lot of the times, like, I'll call people, like, up until recently, if I'm at Hollywood 16, Beeble's right there with us too. Or,
Yeah,
like, I let everyone know we're up here and,
Come and meet us.
come meet, and it's fun to see different generations of skateboarders, because, like, I remember one time we were there and they're like, dude, is that fucking Beeble? And they're fucking losing it, because they're so amped, and he's, how he is. He's
doing his
just
thing,
hyping
yeah.
them up and
For sure.
fucking there to support it. And,
Wow.
that cycle never ends, right?
Never.
I love, man, it's so good. But yeah, TJ, what was he trying? He got staples in his head? What was
Switch
he
front three.
That's right.
Switch front three.
Yeah. And, mind you, in hindsight, driving from LAX in traffic to get there right as the sun's setting, him being kind of juiced, me having a trigger finger for the camera and saying, well, maybe. And, unfortunately, when someone gets hurt like that, it's a nightmare.
It
And then
totally
you go in.
goes
But,
everything.
Totally.
again, like, he did end up going back. And,
Hell yeah.
sometimes that shit happens. And as mentioned, like, sometimes it's a whole lot of nothing that gets you.
Yeah. By the way, can we just mention shout out TJ Rogers? He's
Yeah,
fucking
TJ.
annihilating it right now, and I don't know what it is about him, but like he's always been good, but for some reason this switch has been flipped in his head, and he's just going crazy.
I feel like he's a high energy dude. He's always been like that. I feel like a lot of it might have to do with living in LA. I think that a lot of that before, he was kind of like, oh, I have to be in my car. Oh, we're going here. Oh, we just got kicked out. And even though he's very capable, I think it was kind of draining him.
Sure.
To now, I believe, I don't know his routine outside of what I see, but I know he's just on his board all the time. He's like a kid in a candy store in LA, and everywhere he looks, there's something else. And he skates so much that he can't help himself.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that coupled with the way he skates and the abilities he has, he's got really good ledges. He's got super good pop. I think it's just like the best place for him to be.
Yeah.
And, he genuinely loves to skate. So I think he's just fiending off it, and I think that the amount of time he's putting in on his board versus driving around trying, 8-hour days of, oh, we got kicked out. Like now he's just skating. It's all fluid, right? It's like, you know how it is. It's like if you grew up skating in a city and you skate in the city, you're on your board all the time.
Yeah.
In California, it's a little different than people think sometimes because you come out here, you spend 4 hours a day in a car, that's not yours. You're on someone else's time, and it can be a little
Totally.
rough.
A lot, for
I mean,
sure.
dude, to me, it looks like he has 2 video parts already filmed. He's got a full HD part and he's got almost a full VX part.
Yeah, I mean,
was
he
like,
he
dude.
literally is always skating.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much early bird too, and and I think too, if you look at different skaters, like there's certain times where all of it just comes to a head and they're just on it. It's like,
And he's also made a lifestyle change as well too. So
His pants or his clothes are big.
his
dude.
bigger clothes,
Yeah.
smaller tank top.
Yeah, small.
He's comfortable.
He's comfortable.
I love. It's
Jeez.
fun talking to him about that because he's like, "Oh, dude, there's no way it's too small." I'm like, "Dude, it's an XL." He's like, "There's no way." Size 38, too small.
Right.
I'm like, "All right, dude."
But listen, he's
got
he's
that
got his
custom
shit.
man.
You got
He
that
feels
custom
comfortable,
pant. Yeah.
because skating is about feeling comfortable.
Yes.
Sure. I mean, if you're feeling good, you're definitely going to feel better about,
yeah.
like I know everybody's been there where it's like, you ride for certain companies, you're getting flowed and you're trying to put on your happy face where you're wearing some shit that you'd never wear. And you're just like, oh, fuck, I don't like orange T-shirts or whatever.
yeah.
But, if it's as simple as a white tee and a pair of jeans and that's
Boom.
your shit, it
yeah.
feels
I'm with it.
better.
I'm not mad at that at
Yeah,
all.
man.
Yeah, dude. I think, and LA's such a healthy skate scene.
Yeah.
It's like there's always something going on.
For sure.
That's true.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Tons of spots. You just got to have a car, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing is when I go to Barcelona, man, I'd feel so good.
Yeah.
Because you're skating everywhere.
sure,
You're
you're-
skating you're on your board nonstop.
A lot of that too is like the time on your board. Like I said, like it programs you to feel good on your board because you're constantly moving. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you just yank your board out of a car at whatever age I am and you just jump into a session, it's not so fun.
It's not.
It's like you cement feet. You're just like, dude.
No, there's a process to it. You got to get warmed up for like 30 minutes.
Gotta do some
You know what I
tic-tacs.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
seriously. And then you're like, okay, I'm feeling all right.
And not only that is you've just fought like an hour and a half of traffic.
Yes.
Sure.
So there's all these like mental things
Get-
that go
get
along
rid
with
of the
it
car
too.
aches,
Well,
getting out the car.
Oh,
I mean,
rewarming up.
Yeah.
Southern California, Northern California is a tough place to get done what you want for the
Yeah.
obvious reasons. You know, someone recently was asking me like, oh, why did skaters go to China? And I'm breaking down. I'm like, well, there's multiple reasons. It's like in China, you go to Shenzhen, the city's 20 years old and it houses 20 million people. So if you just think about that for a second, there's a lot of shit to skate, right? You're in the center of the city. You look in every direction. It's bigger than any city I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're at a spot and you're like, dude, if I only had a motorcycle, I could. And the next thing you know, you're being towed by a cop.
Yeah.
That's why you go to China.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Right?
It's made of everything's made of
Marble.
Yeah,
marble.
and then every spot
like-
is just beautiful.
And,
Yeah.
in Cali, it's like you think like you have these ideas in your head if you're the skater or the filmer or the photographer or whatever. And it's like, well, this is our Saturday. and you get there and there's a school function going on, or you get kicked out right away. Or there's
Farmer's
that one
market or
person, and
something.
it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And,
It is,
and
man.
I know for sure so many skaters have put in so many hours to make the shit happen that people see that obviously you don't get to see all that.
Right.
But it's a nightmare.
To say the least.
Do you take a step back now a little bit from going out in the streets and letting them go skate? Like, does Blind have a filmer right now, or
It seems like over the last decade, people are much more self-sufficient in that routine. Like everybody's got a friend with a camera.
Yeah.
You know, they have their little. They definitely, they go out knowing that they're probably going to want to get something, right? Whereas back in the day, you might only have one person assigned to,
Right.
And there's been plenty of that as well.
Yeah.
And when you get big groups of skaters, there's that fine line, like how many is too many people for the session, and no one wants to be a dick, but you're trying to do your thing, and it's there's no perfect equation to like how that works, right?
Right.
So again, that's why I think that it's cool to have been able to see all these different changes and what everyone went through, and the era of video parts and what they mean or what they don't mean.
Yeah.
Or what people are just doing on the regular now, or
Are you constantly thinking about like the business end of skating now? Are you just constantly
not
making your brands bigger? Like making like how do we go from here to even?
I think less about that to a degree, more about what can we put in front of the guys that'll be fun and ambitious.
Okay, I like
Right?
that.
Like
yeah.
you want to keep everyone motivated, but understandably you can't always be totally motivated. So trying to again, like the video, I'm a huge fan. It was like everything to me. It's not the same place now, right? And people move in such different ways that it's kind of hard to get everyone on that page. Yeah. Let alone with there seems to be like a contest every 3 hours nowadays, or some new fucking event, and you're just
Seriously,
like, dude, like, right?
Yeah.
And again, like, what does it matter to that skater? Because again, now you pretty much can pick and choose. Like, you don't have to migrate to California anymore. You can just stay put.
Could be anywhere.
You can never leave your town if you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
Works for day one.
or you look at
So true.
certain guys that are still video park guys, if it's Mark Sichu or when he puts it down, you're just like, you want to watch because he's down for that. That's his thing.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it. I like that though. If your riders are having fun and doing stuff, that's what it's all about.
Well, I think too, there's that like thing with brands, right? When brands get to 20 years, it's a big deal, but it's also kind of like the kiss of death because you're kind of outgrown a few generations. There's always new guys coming in.
Right.
You think you're the cat's pajamas to a young kid. You're someone's grandfather's company.
yeah,
And it's hard to have your cake and eat it too in that respect. So I think that, once you get through that and have a bit of humble pie, so to speak, you can understand a little more about who you really are and who you were in the first place. So you get to 25 and then you're there, right?
Yeah.
But the cool thing about skateboarding is, A, you can't learn it all. B, there's always going to be someone coming after you. You know what I mean? And it's a very ambitious business.
Totally.
And anyone can be a part of it.
Yeah.
Regardless of our industry being bizarre at best, there's a lot of good people in it. You know what I mean? But anyone that's been in it has been through some wild shit,
Sure.
And but it's also amazing to see that little company that you heard about fucking killing it in every store now. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, sure. Right.
What you didn't really look at, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, like those dudes are doing it right,
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like, and it's always evolving, but it's also like constantly inspiring to see, other people's ideas brought to light, At least for me, I'm always like entertained by that, even if it's not a brand that fits my,
right.
your
liking or
Yeah.
whatever. How long has Blind been around? Do we know?
89, right?
89? Is it 89?
I mean, wasn't that the first shirt in Hawaii that Gon's doing the ollie?
88.
Must be
88?
How many years is that?
was 32.
30,
Mhm.
30, about to be 33.
Right.
Jeez.
Damn,
You've
dude.
been a part of it for 18 of those.
Yeah, which is weird.
Crazy. When you first was the team solid when you got on? Who was on at that time?
I think Ronnie was on.
Okay.
What's that kid's name? Really good kid from Orange County.
Massimo?
Yeah.
Cavadoni?
Mm.
Mhm.
James
James Craig, okay.
Gershon.
Gershon.
Was Aaron
Evan?
Artis, or did you put Aaron Artis on the team?
He got on after.
He was on after.
And maybe Gideon. I'm not sure.
wow.
Gideon was on then, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Because they had that group for quite a while, I think, right? From like kind of the trilogy to...
Ronnie versus Day One 2.
Yeah. around that time.
Because
And
Gideon
then-
was on that.
Then you had, Corey, James, Duncombe, Aaron
Oh, yeah.
Artist.
Robbie McKinley later.
He was before.
Was he before?
He was
Yeah.
well. He
He
was
was a
supposed
girl.
to be. Well, was he on Blind then Girl?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like him and
Yeah.
James were the two like
They were the two.
superstar
Right.
Cali-Ams.
Yeah,
Everyone was
guys.
like that. That was like the draft picks.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard about him in Canada. Like everyone knew,
Yeah.
Totally.
I mean, that's again, like that's how shit was, right? Like you knew a lot about a skater that you've never seen. You hear
It's all
about
word
it.
of mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember when Wenning and Pappalardo came up, it was like, whoa, these are the fucking new dudes, but you didn't really see them yet.
Yeah.
You know? Then they showed their talent.
Lenny
Like,
Kirk was,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
I remember just
Yeah.
being like, dude, like, this dude's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
Random question, like skater of the year this year. Who do you think's got it for this year? Have you thought about it at all?
I saw the like the original list, which is a lot of people. And now, fuck, it's tough. I feel like Mark's up there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, I can't associate him with any other skaters, but he's constantly putting out beautiful work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like, when I watch his skateboarding, I can tell like there's a lot of time spent in a lot of thought and a lot of probably same things, like having to go through the motions to get what you really want, which in skateboarding is a little different nowadays. It's like, people put out a lot of stuff where what I've seen, at least from him, is it seems very at his own hand,
Totally.
Yeah,
He's very
totally.
strategic about it.
you
for
know,
sure.
and
Yeah.
it's like fucking cool to watch.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Not everybody can do what they really want to do, and be
Right.
like, I want to do it here. And
Exactly.
do it at this day.
Yeah. I'm going to follow this clip. Let's go
Yeah,
right after
like,
this
fuck
clip.
yeah.
He
with the
might
song,
be on
like-
some like
yeah.
reverent shit where he's like, "We got to go at the magic hour. It's 5:56 on the
If you're
east." We
thinking
need
about-
that."
if you're thinking about it from that angle, you're fucked up.
But it's
really.
his parts look like that,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's very methodical.
and it's
Yeah,
like
very
all the way.
methodical.
It's like the selections are lined up, like
Oh, yeah.
left or right. Fuck.
I mean, I think
it's
he's gonna
no
win. I
digital.
think he's gonna win. That's just my
Yeah?
yeah, for sure.
It's down to like Uto and
It's only them two. I'm just
Suit
that's.
you.
It seems like just them two
that's
at the
what I
moment.
think.
Well, then, yeah, you keep seeing these parts drop. You're like, dude, I'm
know.
sorry, Mark. I'm like, wow. You just,
psycho.
I'm like, how much footage did you get this year? Like, you got more footage
See-
in 1 year than I've probably had, I could ever think I could ever get in my lifetime. Like, you know
I
what I mean?
got more footage in 3 months.
Yeah.
than we could have
I'm
gotten
not the
last
biggest fan of like having to stack parts like near the end of the year, like, oh, we're on our third part or whatever.
Yeah.
I just like see it for like, I don't know if the last full part I saw him, it was Adidas part,
He did
The
drop
last
one a
full
few months
part.
ago. Like 2 months ago, he dropped it on Adidas
and
part.
it was fucked, right?
It was good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blue
For
Dog.
his, for his
Really
color
good
Blue
spot.
Dog.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, sometimes like he always brings such a creative high level of skateboarding, but then coupled with the spot selection and just
Dude.
again, not everyone has that opportunity, but the way he has made that like his reality is sick, dude.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
like
Truly.
I just don't see that a lot.
And then he sprinkled a couple contests in there. He skated. He didn't
Oh,
have to skate.
he's-
He did
he's
not have to skate
ruthless.
no contest at all.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just to do that as well. And don't get me wrong, Yuto was in the Olympics. He won
For
the
sure.
fucking Olympics.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to compare. But I mean,
I was thinking same.
You know?
You can't underride
No,
that because
fuck
it's
no.
like
It's
he's
huge.
steadily been putting out footage, killing contests, won the Olympics. You know what I mean?
We asked this here, like, do you think that Thrasher puts that in part of Thrasher of the year. Like, oh man, this guy won the Olympics.
I was thinking about that when I was thinking that thought, but
Yeah.
because they're Thrasher, they kind of have to or not that they have to, but it is part of history.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I
true.
know they
This is
honor
true.
fundamental big things, good or bad changes in skating. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they look at that or not. You know, I know that.
I mean, it has to be, but again, I'm thinking just. I mean, they both had stellar years. I can't say
It's wild,
honestly,
right?
It is wild.
It's
It
it's such
truly
different
is.
ways.
It really
like,
is.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
hate to be the decision.
I mean, they
maker.
have, dude, the amount of like gnarly parts that pop up on Thrasher, you know, on a regular is gnarly. Like, you know,
I can't
you're-
even keep
you're
up
just
with them
like,
sometimes.
Dude, like,
Yeah.
and people, you know, that obviously is the title belt spot to put
Yeah.
your footage.
right.
And people deliver, you know,
Yeah.
and they do a great job of like fucking showcasing the gnarliest shit.
Truly.
Fuck.
Good luck.
Yeah. I know it's not going to be me. Again.
Listen,
Again.
that $20,000 naked 540 may
never
grace
know.
grace
Yeah.
the top 10 at
Your face
Thrasher.
might pop up there.
Yeah. a few other body parts.
Have the
that
Yeah.
pop up
have
there.
this statue of Weiss to stand there naked.
Yeah.
That, you know,
That's a new trophy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, naked
Wow.
Weiss. From the-
Yikes.
So maybe we're doing the naked 540 again. 20
At
grand.
50.
Listen,
There we go.
how
Ooh.
Here we
long
go.
are we away from that?
Oh, we're getting close.
It's like we're knocking on that door.
Yeah.
Couple Coors
I mean-
Lights, and we'll get you there.
That- if
50-50
you-
at
we're not
50?
too far off. A lot of us are not too far off from that, man. It's
What-
fucking psycho.
Would you listen? 20 grand. I mean, if Jankum wants to do that,
I mean,
it's a lot of money.
I would definitely give it a whirl.
Yeah.
But I
When was the
can't
last
say-
time you skated vert?
Not that long ago.
Okay.
Right before COVID hit,
Okay.
I was skating the Vans outdoor ramp with Ellis a bit.
Sick.
And then that was right down the street from my house, which was, again, a great skate park they have there. And it being where it is, dude, you walk up, you never know who's skating. Like, it's trippy, dude. You
Wow.
know, like, show up Hasoy's like, let's do this. And
Wait,
you're
you're
like,
referring to Jason Ellis you were skating?
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah, and he has since then now...
I heard he's been skating a lot.
Dude, he's
ripping.
ripping.
Yeah.
Like, and when we were skating the Vans, I think he was just skating a little more, and he got service. Like, he slammed super hard, and I could tell he was like, fuck. And now the footage I'm seeing, like, he skates with Tony all the time.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like
Sick.
ripping.
He's doing some rad shit. I saw
Yeah,
some
like-
clip the other day, and I was like, what the
Good
fuck?
airs, big ass front.
And he was
side.
psyched. He got off his board, and he was like,
Well,
fuck
you can
yeah,
see
let's
it.
go.
Like, he went from probably not skating that much, and then now just loving it more than ever.
I love it.
And of course, he's super good. So it's
Hell
like
yeah.
it's
He's
great
always
to
been
see,
good
you
in
know,
that
like
sense.
people fall fully back in love with it like that.
Totally.
Especially guys you've been in the trenches with. It's like so fun, you know.
For sure.
And he was thriving off the board on his Sirius
Yeah, dude.
radio show
Great
and stuff
stuff.
like
Him
that.
and
He's
To-
still killing it, right?
He's-
That, or that
I don't
slowed
know
down
if
a
he's
bit.
I
still-
think he does a show. He does his own show, and then he does the show with Tony.
Wolf versus Hawk.
Yes.
Yeah.
But does he still have the Sirius show? I'm not sure.
No, he does. I think it's the Jason Ellis show.
Okay.
Is online.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but I just watched. They do that Hawk versus Wolf, right?
yeah.
Where they had Hasoy on was awesome.
Right. I just think
We gotta
that
get Jason Ellis on.
I know. It'd
Oh,
be
for
amazing.
sure.
Oh yeah,
But
he's
I want to. Something about I think his show on Sirius was like up there with Howard Stern's.
he
That
It was
was
did-
number
Frontier.
2 for a while.
He,
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff he was doing on there was incredible,
Mm-hmm.
and like, you know, hearing it from the outside, like
Yeah.
people that you know have nothing to do with skateboarding, like, dude, that's like their favorite radio guy.
For
And
sure.
I thought for sure, he has that personality that not many people do
For
when
sure.
it comes
Right.
to engaging fans and just being
Oh,
an
yeah.
honest fucking rad dude.
And he made a few appearances on Howard Stern as well.
I'm
too.
sure.
So yeah. But it sounds like, if he's skating more, maybe he's happy, maybe he's doing his thing.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think he's
Yeah.
pretty busy on both.
Okay.
You know, I think that
He does like mixed martial arts too, right?
yeah, he does.
Ah.
Wow, he's fully
MMA,
like
get
trained
him.
fighter,
Wow.
skating, and then all his different like radio endeavors. He's
Sick.
a busy dude, and he has kids as well. You know,
Amazing.
he's married,
Damn.
killing it.
Yeah.
So sick.
But yeah, it's great. I was so stoked to see Ellis
Super
ripping,
sick,
man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, year and a half, 2 years it's been since you Jumped on the vert.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
But I hope that I think I was over it an hour ago. But if there's a vert ramp, yeah, I'm down to skate. I went, like I said, you go to the barracks, you sit there. It's like you can't not skate. And then the next thing you know, you're like, dude, driving home like so sore.
Are you stretching? Are you doing anything?
I have to.
You do? Okay.
I mean, I'm not the most flexible guy, but I definitely have to.
Gotta
I'd be
At least try.
jacked.
Yeah, dude.
get your little
Yeah.
hamstrings going.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because it's those little things like I was skating like a quarter pipe a while ago. My daughter wanted to drop in this one park that has like a smaller quarter pipe. And I did a frontside grind and I felt something go in my calf for like a month and a half.
Oh,
I was
man.
like,
Wait, you
Strained,
felt a little
it's
pop
like,
or something?
fuck.
yeah, it
Little
felt
pop.
like it's like a string,
Yeah.
Ugh.
But it took me out for a month and a half. Not, that's age.
Yeah.
You're like 6 weeks later, I'm still feeling this shit.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's, and some skaters don't stretch at all.
Yeah. That's what it's true.
Again, like if you can get, out there and warm up before you skate, obviously best case scenario where your blood's
Yes.
flowing,
Yeah.
because then everything starts to fall in line. But, again, like fucking nothing wrong with stretching.
No.
I mean, I'm sure
No.
those power G turns. I mean, power kick turns. can
Power
really,
kick turns. Yeah, things could
Work
get
on the
going.
work on the thighs.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Determination right there. Air, no reason for that.
This kickies will get me going.
For sure.
Power kick turns. Well, anything else that we need to know about? Like any upcoming like madness videos or anything blind related or anything personal? What do you? Anything we got going on here?
We just actually filmed a new thing we're doing with Blind. It's kind of like 72 hours, different group of skaters. What happens, and just so people can be part of that, feel like very candid.
So just have a camera on them for 72 hours.
Yeah,
not
just-
straight, but probably
Right, just go out and that's
Okay.
the time frame. The amount of time invested
That's
into
cool.
it, just to sort of see what the sessions really are like,
Oh.
And,
So full part from TJ then.
Yeah,
72
3 parts from
yeah.
TJ.
Bruh.
All those guys, But
Yeah.
again, like I said, you get a good group of skaters together and you don't get kicked out. It's amazing what can happen.
Fuck
No doubt.
yes.
Especially when people are motivated. And then Madness, we just did. Ace Pelka just turned pro. We just did Martino Canteneo's part on Thrasher, which again, if you haven't seen it, watch it. This
Okay.
dude's insane. And Trey Wood's got a part coming out. And then other than that, I am taking my kids BMX riding. They both got BMX bikes that they're psyched on. They both skate, but that's been new. And that's pretty much it. Spending time with my girlfriend and her son. And yeah.
Do you build little jumps outside for the BMX or what?
I found a little like trail where it's kind of mountain bike, but people dug them out into
Okay.
little doubles. And I was like, this is, I used to BMX before I skated. And it's like, like there's nowadays BMX jumps are insane. You know what I mean? They're really gnarly.
Cool.
But when you get that perfect little double hump where you can do just the middle, but if you go fast enough, you
go
get the
the
little
whole thing.
clear.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, hopefully more skating with my kids once Vans is open again, because we were going there a lot. It was
Okay.
really fun.
Yeah, because you said you live nearby.
Yeah.
So that's a...
But the outdoor one,
Yeah.
that place looks really fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the coolest parks. They got, one of the mellow, good street courses.
It's not open?
Yeah, but
I think it's been closed.
It's outdoor.
I think it's been closed for a while now.
Really?
They got one of those crazy big, like, competition style bowls, and then they got the 80s vert ramp. And it's like right off the highway, so it's great.
I wonder why it's still
hopefully
closed.
it
I
opens
don't
it
know.
soon.
I hope. I mean, it
open.
was another like just where it is. Like it's like you show up and you're like, whoa, there's fucking Descenzo, there's Nija, there's Lance Mountain,
Right.
there's Christian Asoy. It's just trippy,
It's
And
amazing.
you
Yeah.
go in there
It's
and
so
you get
rad.
in where you fit in. It's
Yeah.
like
Sick.
skate whatever. And again, it's just cool that there's parks like that everywhere now, because it's like, dude, like.
That's
where
why everyone's
I'm
good, man.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we all went through not so good skate park years, and
Fuck yeah. No skate parks.
No skate,
skate parks, right?
Yeah. Santa Barbara Powell Skate Zone was the closest
Yeah.
for here.
The best.
Yeah,
Absolute best.
super
but,
fun.
Yeah. not
Helmets.
the easiest to get to.
Yeah.
3-hour drive each way.
Yeah. Well, for me, from the valley, it was like an hour and a half,
Right.
2 hours. But
But still, back then it was
forever.
It was an
Took
adventure,
forever,
bro.
no doubt.
Yeah,
That's
the
true.
whole thing. Well, Bill, dude, man, come back anytime. We would love.
It's
Well,
been
love
fun.
these stories. Bro.
Yeah,
I'm sure we
it's
could
awesome.
go on more penny stories, Muskas, all this stuff.
Goodness.
But
Dude, Muska.
bro, and congrats on everything. The madness.
thank
you. Yeah.
18 years of blind team managing and doing all that over there. It's incredible, bro.
Yeah, no, thanks. Again, like totally
Yeah.
stoked that you guys had me. Good
For
to see you
sure,
guys.
yeah.
And, just, yeah, dude. Just keep pushing around, dude.
Yeah,
definitely.
everyone's keeping busy, which is good.
Man.
Thank you for what you've done for skateboarding.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
You
dude.
know what I mean?
No, thanks, man. I mean, again, it's like I said, like there's a lot of craziness involved, but just seeing kids do well is
Yeah.
cool, and it keeps me wanting to do it more.
Yeah.
But just hearing your perspective from that angle is just like really is dope because like there's not too many people that are like looking out for the younger, you know what I mean, and kind of guiding them in the right direction on what you shouldn't do and what you should do. You know what I
Sure.
mean? I think that's very, from your aspect, it's very genuine and very cool that you're,
Thanks,
that
dude.
you do that and hold that flag, bro.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. I mean, you probably see me passed out under a table or two. Like, it's like the
Yeah.
streets are wild.
But there's
and,
two sides to it. You can have
Sure.
fun just as long as you don't, overindulge to lose yourself, because then
Sure.
that's when you really get lost, and then you're not in skateboarding
yeah,
anymore.
I
Yeah.
think it's just nice to be able to have someone to talk to, regardless.
For
right?
sure.
You know,
For sure.
and not feel like I'm not here to judge anyone. So it's like, come at me with whatever, and I'll listen, and if I can help, I can, and I will.
There's so much talent out there, So it sucks to see somebody kind of
Yeah, no one
going
wants to.
down
And it's a hard, once you start going, it's hard to pump the brakes on that
Sure.
shit, man, because
Yeah.
then life's right there, and no one in the real world gives a fuck how many stairs you can ollie. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
When it's
Right.
when it's almost too late.
It's
yeah,
true.
For sure.
Put that on the resume, man. I ollied El Toro.
But dude, it was so funny because Don, when you go to Soul Tech and you hang out with Don's always making jokes. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to El Toro. We can check it out." And I was with like a couple of the S guys, and TJ was there. And I was like, the funny part is that TJ is the only. He's actually skated El Toro.
yeah.
Dude, he did the Switch 180 second try.
Like that
That's
is so
insane.
nuts.
That's
Because I really
insane.
don't have many friends that have actually
And I
skated El
filmed
Toro.
it so bad. Both angles sucked.
Why did you film it? What happened?
I don't know. I put one on a tripod, and he's kind of like over to one side, and the other I didn't think he was going to do it second try.
Yeah, he just goes for it,
He just
dude.
went, he
Yeah.
did.
And
Yeah.
the fucked up thing was, to close out, was I don't even think it phased him, because the first one he did, he landed like rock solid and just leaned back. He didn't really slam, and he ran up and made the next one. He was like, "Oh, let's go get some other shit." And I was like, "All right."
keep it moving. Like that was nothing.
But like you see people skate stairs, and it's like one kick out can be the worst decision of the day.
Oh,
Or you
yeah.
see someone commit every time, and next thing you know, they're chilling.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, fuck.
Right.
Land on your board.
Yeah.
Comes in handy.
Amazing.
Yeah, your land board
Yeah,
definitely
dude.
helps.
Listen, can we give you some nightclub shit to take home with you? Some mugs?
Please.
Yeah. A couple, what else we got back there? Sweaters? Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, what size you rock?
You can take one of these. too, if you want.
XL.
Oh, there you go.
Oh shit.
Oh
Oh, no,
Jesus,
please don't.
dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh fuck. Dude, I was just playing a game with my girlfriend Mickey and her son, and it was like a thing where you spin. It was like a candy cane game, and you spin it. It's like blueberry, banana, peppermint, dirty socks, fart covered in vomit, and like, so Kellen got one that was like too spicy or something, and
Oh, no.
and he's like, oh, it's. And then he's like literally bawling because you're like, oh, it can't be that bad. And I
It
ended
is
up getting it.
gnarly.
I was like, dude. And then I got like the dirty socks one or the shit covered in vomit one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought I was gonna throw up, dude.
That's how gnarly they
Yeah,
were.
like horrible.
Because they have those jelly
Wow.
bellies that are like,
Yeah,
weird
puke
flavor. Yeah,
flavor.
yeah. They're not bad, but they're not.
These were like
They're not
on
delicious.
point where you're
Where
like,
do you buy this on
it's.
Amazon or something?
I don't know. It was just like a game. Like I said, like it looks like a good idea, and when you get the blueberry one, it seems like a great idea.
These are candy canes.
Yeah. But then
Other
like
candy canes.
yeah. So and they all are the
mini ones,
same.
probably?
There's only 3 colors, right? So there's yellow, blue, green, or
Right.
whatever, and one says banana, but the flip side is rotten cheddar or whatever, and you're like,
wow.
oh yeah, and they start, and then you're like, whoa, this
What
sucks.
the fuck is this?
Like literally angered.
Re-
So
yeah.
like a good game regardless, but dude, I was like, man, these fuckers really figured this stuff out.
Fuck. Anything disgusting. I don't know why. Hot or disgusting. People love it.
Dude.
They fucking love it.
Yeah, these things are a treat. I'll tell you that.
Oh God, Bill. Yeah,
I'm
stay
kind of
away from those, bro.
Yeah, dude.
If you
No,
thought the
if you
candy
can't handle-
cane,
if you can't handle
Are
like
these-
spice, or,
Yeah, if the
like,
candy
hot
cane-
Oh, I
shit-
can do it, but
yeah, that's
if the candy cane was bad, then stay away from
no,
that.
they
fucking
can't. That's
thing.
2 different things. I think this is hot shit.
No, but
Other
he said
shit-
that the candy cane was hot too.
But also,
Spicy?
no, I'm
tasting-
assuming that this is on a different level.
100%.
Oh, that
bro.
don't do that, please.
Yeah.
Never. Don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Is it just a pepper or chip?
It's a chip.
It's a chip. It's one chip, and it'll ruin your night.
yeah.
We've watched.
We've
our
watched it
friends-
happen several times.
We've had
Not the
just-
kind of thing you pop in before LA night traffic.
No.
Oh,
I don't think you
would hate.
want.
That would be the
mean,
worst.
We've had Justin do it, Justin Eldridge. We've had Robert Neal, and we had Boo Johnson, and they've all had an experience.
It's good. They handled it well, but the
They did.
aftermath of their stomach is
Oh.
where it really.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's
I
when
understand the concept of
Yeah.
hot food and the digestive system, but I will keep you posted.
Oh, you're gonna keep it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not powering one down
Okay.
with an empty can.
No,
of
no,
vodka,
no. You're good. You're good.
Let
For
alone no
breakfast.
Coors Light in sight.
Bill, bro.
Dude,
good to
have
see you, bro.
Yeah.
Listen.
If you can
Alright,
give a
dude.
couple of,
Oh, wait,
of beers,
please. Wait.
if you had a couple of beers and took that down, that would be one of the funner. Do it
Seems
naked.
like a-
fuck it.
Next thing you know, I'm
naked.
just driving home
Do it on
naked.
TikTok.
Listen, before we go, here's a 9 Club mug to take home. That's us as burning skulls
After
and
the
stuff.
chip,
That's that. Right.
The burning mug.
I don't fuck with
I'm
this.
marketing.
I can't even do Tapatio. Listen, here's a morning wood candle. It's Roger's morning wood. Smells like his.
Nice.
Smells
Yeah.
delicious.
That does smell delicious.
And we did a collab with the belt company. These are great belts. They're called Grip 6. Good
All
belts.
right.
Good belts. I wear mine every day.
I'll put these on my blind jeans.
Hey,
There you go.
There you go.
Hey.
And also a couple shirts here. We got the skaters supporting skaters.
Gotta
Kind of
love
our little
that.
motto there. You know what I'm saying?
Right up your alley.
Makes
And
sense.
1,000. John coined the term on one episode of the Experience Show. He said it about 1,000 times, and so
Dude,
1,000 turned
did.
into 1,000.
Honored
dude.
to rep this. Thank
Bro.
you.
Hell yeah.
And some 9 Club stickers, bro.
All right.
Next time, if you do the 540, maybe slap one of those on your ass so we get a little photo
Oh.
inset.
Hey.
Yeah.
Never short of a good idea, man.
Dude, thanks so much for coming,
Hey,
man.
Hell yeah, Bill.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.